What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the NECC here. We've got a phenomenal matchup coming for you once again for the Rainbow6 Semifinals. My name's Infernosis, joined here by Fellow. How you doing today?
I'm doing amazing, man, especially since we're back here at NECC. It's been a little while, but a warm welcome nonetheless. And the final matchup for this evening, the other semifinal, going to be Oswego, the second seat from the regular season, up against Central Methodist, which was the 6th seat. So A pretty big difference there, at least in placements from the regular season, but we have seen Central Methodist before upset some teams, so there is a reason why they're not in dead last place. They're up a couple of brackets, so it's not completely hopeless for them, but I feel like a lot of people have already made their predictions as to who is going to win this second match for the evening.
Yeah, and especially when you've got the ability to get close. I guess we know that the last time they faced Oswego, they lost 0-2, and it was a 10-14 round differential. Only 4 rounds away. That's honestly quite close. That's actually kind of crazy. I think that's a very impressive stat line, and they managed to beat UC Davis's secondary squad, and take that in a 2-1 fashion to get themselves out of the quarterfinals and bring into the semis. So they have a lot going for them. They have a lot, behind them as well, a lot of history. Despite them having a regular season record of 4-5, they're now tied 5-5. So you're going to have a problem of, can you make it the 6-5, or will it become unfortunately 5-6? Who knows? But at this point in time, Oswego's coming in with only one loss to their name, and they're sure as heck not trying to make it two.
And we're not going to have to wait that much longer. We're going right into map number 1, which is going to be Cafe. And Oswego, they're attacking first. So already starting off, they could be at a disadvantage because we all know how defender favorited Cafe Dostoevsky can be put into the right hands. But a huge factor on any map are the bans that follow up on those maps. So we're going to see what those might be. What do you think for predictions, possibly?
Ace is a pretty big one. Ace and Thatcher.
Thatcher as well, yeah.
Pretty much guaranteed, right? I mean, it's going to happen. Ace not guaranteed as much. I've seen a couple teams opt to do Ibana instead. I've seen teams even opt to do Thermites in Mavericks instead, which is interesting. I think Maverick, because they don't want to have to deal with the extra nades in pocket as well as having the utility of a hard breach, but the Ace is just that ranged hard breach, and you don't want to have to deal with that through pocket floor. But no, we're going to be taking out Jackal. This is a very collegiate style ban, and I think that anyone that has watched a differing style between T3, T4, T1, T2 in collegiate, the different types of scenes, you'll know that Jackal's a little less banned in terms of other different playstyles. Collegiate really likes to ban that out, so you don't face that super frag-centric style.
Still a great ban nonetheless, though. It allows for the roam game to be a lot more potent, and Maestro going to get banned as well. So we're not going to see him. We are big advocates for Maestro, which makes sense because he's a great operator. His Evil Eyes, pretty much indestructible unless you bring some type of Ash Charge or any breaching round to get rid of it. Gathers a lot of great intel, and his Alda is a force to be reckoned with, and Kaid is also going to be banned as well, another great operator for that wall denial. So, because Maestro being banned and the Kaid, Mira's on the board along with Valkyrie, so expect to see either two, if not both of them, played a ton because they're exceptionally well on any map, and this one in particular of Cafe. And oddly enough, we've already seen 2 players leave, so that's a little bit odd, but they'll join up sooner or later. So we're going to have to go pause the matchup, maybe return to our lovely faces for a while our players get sorted back out. But I like the lineup so far that we have been able to witness, at least on the side of CMU.
Absolutely, and well, I won't go into too much detail, as this could be a little bit longer than the break that we have. But one thing I really like to see coming through is going to be a lot of utility usage, and it has to be there because you don't have Maestro, you don't have the Alta, you don't have the Evil Eye to cut off silence, you don't have that long range fire, and you don't have Kaid. You don't have the ability to Electro Claw out that cigar lounge walls connecting into back of bar, connecting into closet, connecting into all those rooms by pixel. I mean, you've got so many walls that you have to worry about on the third floor. Just alone the third floor, your go-to primary objective in 90% of scenarios. It's just the lack of a Maestro really hurts. And for somebody like me who absolutely despises the map of Cafe with a fiery burning passion, please never pick this map. And
needs a rework for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's already gotten a rework. Unfortunately,
it was a good rework. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but it needs more. It needs more love.
It's just boring. It's just a tedious map.
Yeah.
You just go to the same spot every time and play over and over again. But nonetheless, I think the most important thing to remember when you're playing on a map like Cafe is going to be not tunnel visioning. When you're on that roof and you're going to the roof like you do every round, because that's all teams ever do, and you drop through the 2 hatches to put yourself onto the third floor, don't tunnel vision the third floor. You got to watch out for the white stairwell. You got to watch out for, blue stairs. You got to watch out for everything and make sure that you won't be flanked on. You may clear the floor, but that doesn't mean a defender can't sneak up behind you and take you out after the fact. And that also doesn't mean a defender can't just toss up a nitro cell to that entirely wooden floor and catch you off guard.
Also, things that can catch you off guard, the offhand cap can pick that we're actually seeing by one of the players on CMU. You guys can't see it, but you'll be redisplayed a moment ago. That's Omega Wolf on the cap can pick. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Capcan, but similar to Frost, in those last 30 to 40-second pushes, you're not really paying attention to the Capcans that are on the main wall. So every now and again, it actually can guarantee you a kill. And as a matter of fact, I saw it in Pro League for R6 literally a few hours ago, the Mirage versus SSG matchup. They were going dining and kitchen on Villa, and Benji brought out the Capcan, and it worked. He got a kill with the EDD. So you know what? If it can work in Pro League every now and again, heck it, why not bring it in Collegiate? So I like it. It's random, it catches people off guard, and the exact same thing can be said about the zero pick, which we're also seeing because one player managed to come back in, but it went to Ying. But luckily, you guys can't see that, so it's okay. I technically didn't make a mistake.
You're foresighting this out here.
Yeah, I have my third eye is wide open right now, Scott. If you didn't know that.
The other player is having to restart again to get it,
Mm-hmm.
situated. You've got to run a background program for when you play R6, because you don't have the ability to be local. So it's not that we don't trust, but it's also that we don't trust, right? So, some people, it happens. Things like that happen. But nonetheless, really looking forward to the second map we're going to be heading to tonight, which, if I remember here correctly, is actually going to be Borgen, if I'm right.
It is. You are correct.
Yeah, so we get to go off of my least favorite map on the planet to 90% of other people's least hated man. Least favored
Most-
map.
yeah.
Most
Most
hated,
hated,
least favored.
favored.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Borgen. People don't like
They-
that. But, collegiate teams tend to make it a little bit spicy because they actually just try to frag out, so.
Yeah, I would agree. The main issue with Oregon is that it's just the same thing over and over again, just like Cafe, just it gets played more than Cafe. That's the bigger issue because a lot of teams just prefer it over Cafe. Cafe is a much older map, and Oregon feels a little bit more refined, I guess. There's 3 really strong sites you can pick. I can't quite say the same for Cafe. And then the last map that neither one of us have discussed yet, except for me talking about that Pro League tidbit, was Villa. So we might not go to a third map, but if we do, at least it'll be on probably one of my favorite maps to commentate over, and there's plenty to discuss when we go to that, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. I just figured I'd point that out. I bet Sky's on the same page with me, and sadly, we're still waiting on one more player to join back up, but I can assure you guys it probably won't be that much longer.
Honestly, at this point, it would have been fine to just send you another ad break, right?
I mean,
we
we're
don't
at the
just
point of no
segue
return, though.
so,
We can keep
yeah.
filling.
Okay, so I remember distinctly you took a note here for this map, and it was something along the lines of a sight line from below New Hatch on the 3rd floor.
Oh my
all
God,
the
I
way down to
did.
New White Stairs. Now, we neither of us had ever seen this before, and I honestly don't remember what team brought it out, but it was really cool. I super liked it. Who brought it out? Do you have that written down as well?
I do. So it was Phantom Legion versus Toys, and Toys brought it out when they were attacking because they were defending on the first half. It was right underneath the new hatch, new balcony technically, and it was this magnificent sight line all the way down into the brown stairwell. And I even drew it out, but honestly, I have trouble looking at reversed mirrored cameras, and also my drawing is atrocious, so I'm not even going to show you guys that. But if you can picture that, if any of you know much about Rainbow6, then you can be like, oh my God, that's a devastating angle. Yeah, it really was, which is why me and Scott were so bewildered by it. I'm hoping we get to see that amount of brilliancy on either of these two teams. So
Yeah, if we get 1/10 of that, I think it's a bit of
I'd
a
be pretty
success.
happy. Yeah.
Because honestly, that's the only thing Toys brought to the table that entire game. If I
Just
remember
really
correctly.
big brains.
Just
I think
really
they
big
lost that.
brains. They managed to take a couple rounds, but it doesn't even matter because this is collegiate. A different type of player, a different type of style. Collegiate's kind of more like the gunning kind of TDM style Siege, which a lot of people don't like, but it's kind of entertaining in its own way. But it does kind of make it so that a lot of teams kind of lag when it comes to strategy, when it comes to preparation. And I tell you one team that doesn't, it's the team that just came out victorious last map. They played phenomenally. They have the entire season. There's a reason why they're where they are and play so well. But CMU, the one team I expected to give them a run for their money, did exactly that. They didn't give them a run for their money on map 1, that's for sure. But on map 2, they did. And it goes into overtime. And unfortunately, they were felled, and we didn't get to see the next map. But nonetheless, I mean, that was a phenomenal game to watch. It was a phenomenal game to see because CMU, which this is CMU 2, their CMU 1 squad, it's constant. I see it every single time I've ever had the pleasure to cast for them. It's constant aggression, constant sidelining, constant precision and accuracy for that aggression. Like, they will push up and they will find the kills, but they also need to get a little bit greedy. And that's one thing that they were able to turn around. It's one of the reasons why they weren't able to just completely shut them out. Because if you overextend or you get a little bit too greedy, you can lose 1 or 2 players at the start, and that round's over for CMU. They couldn't ever make the recovery, except for when they had Werelord drop the ace. But most of the time, they couldn't drop the recovery, and they struggled because of it. So you kind of have to question whether or not this CMU2 squad will also be able to do the same thing, or if they're also going to overextend, make the wrong mistakes, and, fail ultimately.
Yeah, it is kind of a looming thought in the back of our minds, especially since we watched the last game a little bit. Got to see Wes and Kara do a good job on commentating over that, and obviously the production was great as well. But, you know, Tumac and Flossie, they're absolutely nuts, but you always can't win every round just because you get kills. That's just not how the game works. There's so many other things you have to worry about. Map control being a good thing, utility usage and economy, time economy too, because especially in the higher versions of collegiate or any competitive R6, there's still a lot of rounds that come down to those last 30, 20 seconds, give or take, and it's all about winning your ones in those kind of situations, especially when it's still 5-on-5. If you cleared out these maps but allowed the roamers to retreat, then it's almost a lost cause because then the defenders are in a really favorable position. So hopefully that won't happen. If so, then I mean, clearly CMU did a great job because they're defending first, but that also means Oswego need to bring their A game up a little bit more on that part.
Yeah, we are still sitting here and waiting, and our
Yeah.
observer is calling out the casters are struggling. So I appreciate his vote of confidence in us here. What I don't appreciate is that there is a person that is not connecting. And while I think
Yeah, that's not
technically
cool.
we may have started before they were ready, I don't actually think that's the case. I think they had readied. So I would honestly maybe bring forth a complication, a problem. If I was the opposing team, if I was CMU, I would be very upset about this. We saw it happen last game where there was a bit of a rehost or a pause that came through, and Buffalo managed to ice the kicker of sorts and really make CMU flounder. They couldn't really do anything for themselves. And because they were in a hot streak, they were thrashing, and they lost it all in a single bit of icing the kicker kind of moment. I would be upset. All the warm up you've done prior to this, all that extra training and keeping your wrists and hands warm and keeping steady, all that is just kind of going to waste when you're just sitting here in this lobby. What did we just watch? We're returning to menu.
Think we have to. Okay.
Are
So,
we? No. What is happening?
well, we can't pause, so we might have to. I
No.
don't know. If we go to a rehost, then we
literally
might
won't let
possibly
it
go into a
pause.
small break. It will not let our observer pause. This is very interesting. So I think we're going to have to just quit to the main menu and go for a technical rehost. So that's awkward, but it happens, I guess. I don't think we're going to 4v5 this. That would be odd.
It would be quite odd.
Hmm,
I mean, if I'm CMU, I'm complaining anyways, right? Like,
I mean, yeah, they had to wait like a good like 2 to 5 minutes, and now they're like, oh, 4v5? Sure, why not?
that's not even 5 minutes. This is
I mean,
like 10 minutes.
I did say I was learning how to count, and like I got it kind of down to the wire, but maybe not. I think I lied a little bit to you. I'm sorry, Scott. I didn't
That's
mean to do
okay.
that.
It looks like Oswego is going to actually go for the going to go ahead and play it out despite losing a player. So we're going to see how this pans out. We're going to see if that player ever joins back. Supposedly he'll be here for the next one. Does that mean next map or next round? Like, who knows at this point? It could be anyone's game.
Yeah, and there's a really big issue right now with Oswego's lineup, other than the fact that they're down a player without CMU having to do a single thing. Their only hard breach source is Blobfish on the 0. So if he makes one minor mistake this entire time, whether that be he dies or he's just not in the right place at the right time, then we're not going to see that bar wall opened up, and that's going to make things a little bit more complicated for Oswego when they try to get that plant down moving forward in that last minute or so of the round, but it won't be a problem just yet. Right now, they're still sitting up above. They're just going for some common drone spots, making sure that they can push into Cigar safely. That way they can start getting actual map control. We're seeing that happening right now. Air jabs being deployed as well. So nothing too complex just yet, but the first minute has now come to an end, and still CMU are technically in the lead with having to do literally nothing but just sit there and look pretty.
Absolutely, and while they do have that player lead, like you said, they only have the side of Oswego have another deficit, only one hard breach. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't actually think that's strange for Oswego.
He's back!
Side. Hey, Complexity has
Woo!
returned.
Let's go.
I don't actually think that's strange for their side. I genuinely think that they're kind of used to doing something like this. I remember one team, I can't remember specifically, but a team that likes to do that. But Pepperoni, a nail in the coffin, they'll find J-Boss out, and now a 3v5 in play. But Wolverine has the information, sprays through, but is not able to kill in the process, as Danky will find the refrag instead onto Swolverine, so guaranteeing a 3v4 pretty early on in this round. It's unfortunate they did lose that player, but these Capcan entry denial devices are making it difficult for the Oswego side to put themselves in a position to actually fight forward here.
Danky and Spicy Fish both injured now. I was going to say incredibly low in HP, but they'll get injured. Silver Fox finishes the player of Spicy Fish. Now all up to Blobfish in a 1v4, and he loses the gunfight against Pepperoni. He has zero clue where that castle player is currently positioned, and it was actually a team kill by the Sam Fisher player, so that's a little unfortunate. But CMU2 taking the first round with relative ease, a great advantage to start things off strong for them, but it probably won't be as easy of a second round because Complexity has finally rejoined, and he's going on that hard breach roll, so that'll make things a little bit easier for Oswego moving forward.
And an ace, and like any good team knows, ace is a phenomenal way to hard breach inside, but they're still bringing the 0. We now have a Capitao as well, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Capitao also has hard breach utility, right? He still has that pocket breach.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so they're going to switch off a 0, so that'll free up that space, and that's actually a good decision. IQ countering Pulse, IQ counters Capcan, IQ counters anyone with any electronic device. When you're forced to play into an objective that's not on the 3rd floor, where there is a floor above you to actually worry about, then IQ is phenomenal. You can look downwards and have that advantageous angle to work with, and CMU is going to be forced to try and just sit and wait, sitting pretty and trying not to get fragged out early on. But Oswego is going to continue to try to do anything they can to try and catch at least Pepperoni off guard, because that is the operator that is most significantly countered against an IQ. Because everyone knows you pull up that heart scanner and you're going to take a bullet.
Interesting play here by CMU. That double wall that Omega Wolf reinforced, that's a big no-no. The problem with Fireplace pushes is that they're essentially death traps. It's a little kill box done the right way if you make shotgun holes or any type of kill hole in the lower part of that floor, and you can just look into that bomb site all the way across the ways from Reading Room, so you literally cannot approach that bomb site safely in any circumstance. And because of CMU reinforcing that double wall, that's going to allow Oswego to approach from that direction if they want to. Right now, that's not going to be the case. They're all the way up above. They're going to do a very common roam clear. It'll waste a lot of time, but it'll guarantee them a little bit of self-security against CMU's possible roam. And the IQ pick being great so far, gathering a ton of information that Oswego can utilize later on moving into these last 2 minutes of the round.
Yeah, even if you played the game for any extended period of time and played IQ for an extended period of time, you'll know what a utility is just by seeing it through the floor. You'll understand it, you can tell what it is, and it's pretty obvious to go through, but I think one of the biggest difficulties in the nuances of IQ is remembering what is supposed to be there and what's not supposed to be there. There's a lot of things you have to worry about, and the one big thing they have to worry about now is these cams. So multiple cams through, you already notice that Blobfish is not shooting out main central cam. They'll have a teammate that will be able to do it instead, but it's weird to not see the IQ do that. But they're going to take an advantageous position now in red stairs, looking to maybe take some control of the 2nd floor, but a player sitting inside of mining may be able to make it a little bit more difficult for them, but they need to get substantial control of this 2nd floor if Oswego wants any chance of actually getting into the objective, because you can have 3rd floor as much as you want, but if you're not safe to step onto the 2nd floor, you're not getting to the objective.
Yeah, it's all about the time economy. You and I both love talking about it. It's like the 6th player. That's literally your line. It's father time after all.
Are you stealing my shtick?
Yeah, I mean, we both steal each other's stuff all the time. I mean, that's the best part about us. We do banter back and forth. It's great. That's why I love commentating with you. Donkey or Danky not noticing Silver Fox. He's unaware of the sound cue. Great entry for CMU, and we're down to that last 40 seconds. This could be hopeless for Oswego if they don't find any success in these next couple of moments. They're going to attempt to push in towards Reading Room, or at least some players, whether it be Spicy Fish or anyone else wanting to join by a side. But there's a couple of players on the side of Oswego that are still all the way up above. They need to move down a floor lower to actually push into this bomb site, or they're not going to end up winning this second round. It'll be 2-0 for CMU. Some utility being burned through that Syria gate in particular that can allow for the smoke plant to be at least attempted. Those Capitao smoke arrows being great coverage. Now they can go for that plant. Great block by Blobfish, but Pepperoni is on a tear. He picks up 2. A Capitao asphyxiating bolt will get another, though, onto King Crimson. Now evening things up as J-Boss will get a trade. Plant being confirmed. This could be a great comeback for Oswego, but Spicy Fish has to win that gunfight, and he's not going to do it. Omega Wolf will come out on top. Now a 1v2 all up to J-Boss as he tries to deny the plant. He'll get one on a Swolverine and make it a second. Oswego miraculously coming back from that deficit, and now they bring things 1-1 moving into the third round.
What a great way to finish that one off. Like I said, you're not going to be able to step down to that second floor unless you have a safety net, and they were able to find it. And it did fall apart a little bit, I would say, substantially so, but the good thing is they didn't hop off the diffuser. They didn't say, hey, my teammates are dying all around me. Let me quickly just hop off and defend them. No, stick that. Pros don't fake, right? Like, stay on that diffuser, plant that down, and play that round out, and you win because of it. So now we're going to have to see them going back to Reading Room and Fireplace Hall. CMU not liking what they just did, not liking what went wrong, and deciding to change it up. And one of the big ways to change it up is by putting in 1.5 on that MPX, and by taking away the cameras and putting it in your sunglasses. So while they'll drop out the MPX with no scope, they'll pick up a very dapper young Ned Flanders for themselves. But is that going to be enough? Is that enough of a difference maker? You know I love to say, do not play the same objective twice. It breeds a level of complacency that should not be inside the game of Rainbow6. It's fine if you can just change it up. But I don't see enough of a difference here between this setup and the last setup. The only difference really being that Valkyrie being taken out, and I think that's worse. I think not having information and replacing it with swag is bad. I don't think that's a smart plan.
I would agree. And at the exact same time, though, I am a big fan of the Warden pick time and time again, especially when the smokes that Capitao had were a really big issue. The only problem, though, Capitao's not picked a second time in a row. There's still smoke grenades on Complexity, but maybe, and I mean maybe, he'll use them instead to burn through those laser gates, but I doubt it because the smoke plant worked for them pretty well the first time, so why not the second, except for the fact that Swolverine is on the board. So it's going to come down to him having to survive throughout the entire round, and then his gadget will gain a lot of value over time, similar to stocks if you want to think about that. Haha, Dogecoin reference. But again, same stuff happening over and over again. You and I both talked about this, Scott. It is Cafe after all. It's the same thing over and over and again. The top down clear. So Oswego doing a great job of staying very complacent on how they want to attack this building of Cafe.
And you kind of can't be too steady, I guess. You kind of have to put yourself out there, and that may be dangerous to kind of hold different angles and play in a way you're not comfortable with, but you've got to be willing to go through that difficulty to get over that hump, to find yourself some success, and they're going to find two pretty early on as we go, taking the lead, Blobfish and Spicy Fish, the two floundering duo, taking out Silver Fox and Pepperoni, and now they have a two-man lead in this 5v3, but J-Boss has taken themselves a lick of damage in return. They're going to have to be able to find some success. They are the entry player. You do still have 2 impacts and 2 concussive blasts in the hands of the Lifeline. They have yet to use that utility, and I don't think Oswego's really cleared enough of this third floor above Reading Room to warrant them to actually have a step up. He doesn't see the player somehow. Spicy Fish spraying and miraculously finding the kill in a double kill fashion onto Swolverine, and now it's just King Crimson and Omega Wolf left in a 2v5 clutch.
not much here that CMU can really do. They just have to win their gunfights and try to stall this push as long as possible. King Crimson picks up one, but he's got to find a couple more, and he will not do that. Now 1v4, all up to Omega Wolf. They're not aware exactly where this Aruni player is currently located. Maybe he can try to find a way to deny this plant, but he's just sitting in the middle of Reading Room Hallway. He picks up one on a Spicy Fish, a narrow miss with that shot through the smoke, but unlike Warden, he cannot see through it, and Blobfish around the corner towards Pillar will eliminate Omega Wolf, giving Oswego their second round win. Now they have the advantage 2-1 going into the fourth round.
Man, that's gonna be pretty devastating. It was close the first two. Well, maybe not the first round, obviously, but you know the last one before that was pretty close, and it came down to a clutch that was needed from Oswego, but they didn't need it twice. They just took it successfully, and I'm a little disappointed to see that a Rooney player there at the end kind of not aim, play slow. I mean, Omega Wolf obviously not comfortable on that again. They're going to be switching off now, playing Echo, and they're going to let Silver Fox take over for the Rooney, but they'll be able to go back up to the third floor. And as I speak about Omega Fox, they're going to switch off, and they're going to go over to the Capcan instead, even though I like the Yokai decision of Echo even more. I actually prefer that decision because I love the Yokai strategy of throwing it up and through the skylight to gather information, but I think they just weren't quick enough to react. I think that Oswego punished them for CMU not grabbing first frag, and they punished them for being slow to react, and they punished them for, well, how do I phrase this? They punished them for anchoring, which is a weird thing to say, but when you're playing a second floor in Cafe, it's rightfully so. You deserve to be punished if you're going to anchor when that entire floor above you is soft.
Yeah, it really did bite CMU too in the rear end in the last couple moments of that round, and then they just got bombarded in the middle of sight, and there wasn't much they can really do, so I would agree with you on that one. So maybe this round it'll be a little bit different, but who knows, right? But say everything seems relatively normal starting out at the end of this prep phase. We have a deep roam coming out by Pepperoni, so maybe he'll be able to do something really impactful moving forward. It did come down to a lot of map control being lost by CMU early on, that third floor in particular, and also their man count. Being in a 5-on-3 and really not having a lot to back yourself up in, because there was still plenty of time for Oswego to do that vertical play and give themselves a third kill, making it that 5-on-2. It looked really rough for CMU too, so hopefully they can bring things back on that fourth round. And they did win this bomb site the first time around, so if they're just able to keep that exact same success, then we will see in fact 2-2.
And I think you kind of have to. You need to be able to see them find success. Right now, CMU, they took the first round, but they were at a player advantage, and it could have gone either way. I genuinely think that CMU did win that round, and I think there was skill behind it, despite the player advantage they had natively. But they need to win and find a way to win, not just off of that player advantage. They need to find a way to win with actual team competency behind them, and they've had good gunning, they've had good positioning, but it just comes down to anchoring in the wrong spots, holding the wrong angles. Like, what is this is a good angle? What was the angle inside Freezer? What's that long shot crossfire? I don't understand that positioning as much. Maybe they have something that I don't understand, but they're playing extremely aggressive operators, but they're not fruitfully using them to their maximum potential. First frag going in favor of Oswego, and it's going to be Spicy, I believe, who's managing to find Spicy Silver Fox. And that's going to be another one of those operators that can be aggressive. A Rooney with that Roni in hand, wasted, underutilized, and now putting your team at a disadvantage.
And the fact that Pepperoni is nowhere to be found, Spicy Fish completely uncontested on this vertical play, it's a great position. Maybe he can find himself a second kill, and we would again be in a 5-on-3 with about a minute on the clock. That's a great position for Oswego. They can just blitz their way into the bomb site, and CMU 2 really can't do anything in that position. Luckily though, one injure comes out onto Danky, but he can't be confirmed just yet. Pepperoni though gets a nice refrag on a Spicy Fish, and what a shot by King Crimson. There goes J-Boss down for the count as well. All of a sudden the tides have tipped in the favor of CMU 2. Now a 2-on-4 just up to Blobfish and Complexity, and they only have about half a minute to work with Blobfish trying to reposition himself around to help out his teammate, but it's not going to happen in time. Now a 1v4 all up to Blobfish, and only now has he entered the actual building, and he's just stuck inside a cigar. He has to break through that Syria gate, picks up 1 in compensation, but still has to find 3 more, and doesn't even have carrier in his back pocket. Amazing kill comes out by Blobfish, but still has so much left to do, and it's not going to work out in the end. Omega Wolf denying the clutch. CMU 2 bring things back 2-2 moving forward.
I really liked what I saw. I genuinely, CMU, I apologize. I liked what I saw going into your side. You obviously take it in rapid success, and you will pat that one on your back, pat yourself on the back, I guess I should say, because you did it. You utilized your aggressive operators, you utilized the pool, and I think one of the biggest things that you utilized was going to be Mira. Every time we saw success, that at least we witnessed the success of a kill, a mirror wall was pretty much next to it. We saw 2 people be downed, 1 by Pixel. I believe they stepped into a Capkin trap and were felled because of it. And also the player stepping inside Cigar, who was then shot promptly. And then right there at the end, as they wanted to step into Cigar Lounge 2, or C2, sorry, not C2, Cocktail Bar 2, CB2, they were forced into a position where they had to check if someone was behind that mirror window. They checked that first, and that delay of time allowed for somebody to shoot them from behind a bar. But, fellow, what the heck are we seeing here? Who actually plays this objective?
I don't know, man. I can't believe I'm putting pen to paper and writing down the word mining for my 5th round note. Jesus. It's just not a good sight anymore. You guys got to learn that. Kitchen is actually a really great defensive hold because how much you can extend all the way up to the 3rd and 2nd floor. You can even do a great SSG roam extension, putting a lot of manpower up above, but mining room is just a death trap. I mean, you really can't make fireplace a kill box as well if you were to go reading room, and look at all this utility you have to dump inside of mining, which even then can still be pushed inward by Oswego. I'm really upset about having to see this map, Scott.
Man, it's like going to Clubhouse and seeing Barn stock, which I know we actually
You just
saw
wonder
the other day.
why.
Yeah, we actually saw that the other day. I got sent out a message from our observer who said, "What are we seeing here?" Like, it's genuine bemuddlement, bafflement. I mean, like
Buffoonery.
It's buffoonery. I don't think that's the word. No, I mean you're befuddled. It's bewildering, right? You just don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. You just don't see this. And as a caster, like you don't see those in the first place, so you don't know any strategies for it. So it just makes it just adds a layer of difficulty to casting that round. It makes it a little bit more difficult to try and figure out what you actually have to say, what's going to happen. We see once again they reinforce that white stair wall connected from fireplace. Like, interesting decision to say the least, but if CMU can defend and actually hold the 3rd floor, then this works for them. If they can't, then they will be felled exceptionally quickly.
It's a lot of what ifs, and oh no, Pepperoni, he missed out on a great opportunity. He had the headshot lined up, but just wasn't aware that that was ahead of Danky, and that's still going to keep things a 5-on-5, but it's a minute 30. The first half of the round has come to an end, so unless Oswego can pick up some type of frag in these next couple of seconds, whether it be for the vertical play or just winning a gunfight outright, then they'll be in a much better position. But like I said earlier, only time will tell, and Oswego is really doing their due diligence, and it's not the best time in the world to be doing that because they're starting to get very low on time, and in those 5-on-5s, like I mentioned earlier, it's going to heavily favor CMU too, and maybe, just maybe, this bomb site pick of Mining Room, because it's throwing Oswego off guard just a little bit more than anticipated, it actually might work out in CMU 2's favor because it's still a 5-on-5.
Yeah, well, they bought a massive amount of time for themselves, but this hatch that you're seeing inside Cigar Lounge that drops straight inside of Train, this is a bad position to be in. You've got to sit on this northwestern side. You've now got to worry about that soft wall that connects from that mining window as well. Can go through from the outside balcony ledge. They'll shoot at the drone, but it looked like they were shooting at an enemy, but it's not going to matter. Spicy and Blob, they find 2. The fish floundering their way into another successful round, and Danky finds another as well. Now a 5v2, and CMU2 are left looking for answers, and they're gonna find none. Spicy Fish collects with a double kill into Swolverine, and Pepperoni lines the shot and takes him down. The bowling pins felled in quick succession as Blobfish takes the L. and now it's just a 1v4. They'll need to find rapid success if they want any chance in the diffuser. The lunchbox has been planted inside of Mining, making it a poor position to try and defend against at this current angle, but he may have an angle here, sees him shot, tries to take it, but misses the opportunity, just like we saw over on White Stairs, and they're still trying to find the correct angle by impacting out some of the floorboards, but just can't find it in time, and Danky will come up and find the kill, guaranteeing another Oswego round. It just didn't work out for CMU.
And even though I was giving Oswego a lot of slack for not having the best third floor clear, especially when no one was really up there, they made up for it with the fact that they just had so much time, not time, but so much comfortability to do all that vertical play. And that's why Mining Room is a horrible site, because so many players stack up inside of Train Room, and you know what you can do super easily on that site, just vertical play, or in that room, I should say. And that guaranteed Oswego 3 free kills, then a 4th one followed up. They got the plant down, and it was a 1v5 post plant. Even though we have seen the Vigil player of, I believe it was Pepperoni, do incredibly well throughout this entire first matchup, you can't come back from those type of situations, no matter how good of a player you are. It's impossible to win those kind of situations. And sadly, we're going to see it a second time in a row, even though it was such a horrible defense. I mean, just go Kitchen. If you have no strats for that site, it's okay. Just go that site and just hope for the best, man, because even then, you'll still have a higher chance of winning that bomb site compared to Mining Room. It's just terrible in the current state of Cafe.
It's just terrible in the current state of R6 with all of the operators that are currently out. I mean,
True.
think about this. Nobody prepares for this objective. It's Team U2 bringing this out. They're prepared for this objective, right? They went out of their way to practice a strategy for it, and there's really no way to scrim success for it either, because no teams want to play against it. Nobody's like, this isn't going to happen, right? I don't care. Oswego have no way to substantially attack that. It's probably built on the fly. That strategy they had is more than likely built on the fly, and you just lost to that. Your strategy you created and used and had planned just got beat by Oswego saying, hey, just shoot. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's just the way the cookie crumbled, and your defense crumbled under the weight of Oswego's push. It's not working. It is not going to work, and if it does, I will take it back. I will be shocked once again, and I want CMU2 to shock me. I want them to you know, make me bewildered, but I just don't think it's possible with an objective like Train and Mining.
I don't either, especially when I actually played this game back when there was old Cafe, because back then Mining Room was a pretty good bomb site to go to because Bakery was impossible to defend, but now that's not a problem anymore because Bakery isn't a bomb site. It's just a room outside of the bomb site that you have to get into first. So that's why Mining Room is now considered the worst bomb site, because the basement floor or the lowest floor is actually viable now. A little bit of damage being done on a complexity, not the biggest issue as long as he remains alive to use those smoke grenades or Selma charges like he's doing right this very second and still get that plant down. But, you know, only a couple shots away from death. You gotta be extra passive now moving forward into the 6th round, but the exact opposite is occurring by Spicy Fish. He's trying to gather as many sight lines as physically possible, whether it be just for the later bits of the round or to guarantee himself an early kill, which almost happens by J-Boss. He's gonna miss some very crucial shots though, so we'll keep things in a 5-on-5, but this was the exact same position that we saw on round number 5, and out of nowhere, Oswego came out on top. It's only a matter of time before they start getting the most important parts of the map opened up for that bird's eye view, so they can start getting those frags and then working their way into the actual bomb site. But surprisingly, CMU2, they're playing a little bit more passive in this position up until now as King Crimson meets his maker.
That's a devastating loss, and Danky's been heart-censored out here, as it looks like Pepperoni may be able to find themselves in a refragged pick, and Danky, who has had an okay game, 4-3 for themselves so far, will be shot through a wall and taken out for the count by Pepperoni, but Blobfish will find a Mega Wolf immediately afterwards, and it was tied up, and now back to the player disadvantage for CMU2, a 4v3. With 15 seconds left, they have a position on the objective, holding strong. Pepperoni finds J-Boss, and now they're going to be shot to the opposing side of Fireplace, but of Nitro as well, downing Complexity, and now it's just Spicy who's up. They'll find one at a Swolverine, now stepping through hallway, and Pepperoni will find the kill. A phenomenal round to end things off here for that half, but boy, things got a little bit too close, I think. But I like the fact that we're going a little bit back and forth, but I don't like the fact that that objective worked.
I think it mostly came down to the time management by Oswego. I said that on round number 5. That's a really big issue that I'm witnessing, and it was even more so when CMU2 didn't fall for the exact same trick twice in a row. They kind of let Oswego waste all their time, and then manpower, because they were getting refrags quite consistently. Pepperoni to start things off, and then he finished it off even stronger, so great work by him on that pulse, really catching a lot of players off guard on the side of Oswego. And then the EDD again coming into effect, because these players in the last 20-30 seconds, they don't want to be looking at the bottom of these doorways. They're expecting a gunfight, not a booby trap. And they die to it, essentially. It happened now for a second time, or third time, my mistake, in this first matchup on Cafe. I'm quite surprised it's been working so well against such a veteran team like Oswego, but things might be looking up for them moving forward. They're now on the defensive side, which is much more favorable, and for this top floor defense, they have a phenomenal lineup, which will allow them to extend on out into Pixel or Piano, if you want to call it that, with the Wamai, Mira, and Jaeger Trinity, or Trilogy, I should say. Trio combo. Yeah.
You'll find the word. I believe you.
I'll get it eventually.
You'll get
Just
it
give me a
there.
little while.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about you.
I am biliterate after all.
All right. I was gonna say.
I gotta
a
bring it
whole
out every
thing.
time, man.
I was gonna have a whole shtick, and I was gonna talk about something, and now I don't want to. Now I do not want to. You've stolen that from me. I was having a small amount of fun on Cafe because I had a whole plan that I was gonna mention, and then I lost it because
No, please, I want to hear it, please.
I already forgot what it was. No, I remembered what it was. Capcan. I like Capcan. That is a fact. And I remember the last time I had an argument with somebody casting. That's what it was. I don't know why they were arguing with me. Capcan is a great operator, and an even more phenomenal operator when it comes to Cafe specifically. It's gonna work. If players, okay, it's like a weird bell curve, right? You're gonna see a ton of players step into EDDs when they're low level, and you're gonna see a ton of players step into EDDs when they're high level. And then the middle ground is a little bit iffy, but that's not entirely what makes Capcan great. It's forcing them to look around, slow the pace of the game, and of course having a Nitro cell that will rip and dip absolutely everyone on the opposing side with just a little bit of information behind it. And guess what? Valkyrie was left unbanned. That is phenomenal and exactly what you want to see. CMU2 did a phenomenal job of bringing that to the table. It just didn't find as much success in those 3 rounds they lost.
Yeah, eventually we'll probably see her. Maybe if we go to Kitchen Sirs and Kitchen Cooking, we'll see her, because she's really strong
You think
on
we'll go to
that.
Kitchen?
I'd hope so, Scott, because I'm really tired of seeing Mining Room. That's enough mining for 1 year, okay? That's unless I'm playing Minecraft.
The only thing
but I
I
haven't
mine
done that
is
in a while.
Doge, okay?
True. Hey, you mentioned the dip. They are dipping right now, so
Yeah, we're in.
maybe you should consider buying
Buy the
some
dip,
more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But right now, CMU2 only starting up the action at this very moment. King Crimson gets the entry on the Spicy Fish, so he'll start things off at a decent pace for CMU2, but they still have a lot of map to recontrol, and right now Complexity and J-Boss are completely denying that with the mirror windows and pixel shield that has been such a big issue towards CMU2. Now we're down to 40 seconds, and there isn't really much else that CMU2 can really do. They don't have enough utility to get that shield removed, and Thermite cannot hold that angle properly up against the player in either Bathroom or Pixel, so he's basically worthless to his team unless he repositions to help out his friend of Silver Fox, who is a sitting duck right now inside of Cigar Shop. We're now down to the last 20 seconds of the round. These mirror windows being so taxing up against CMU2, they really can't do anything except get a beautiful grenade kill. Omega Wolf shuts down Complexity. Now a 3-on-3, but there's very little time nor manpower. It's a 1v3 essentially, and King Crimson gets eradicated by J-Boss behind a separate mirror window, and just like that, the round has been won by Oswego. Masterful performance by them, and they'll take their lead back in their favor. Or the lead back.
Eradicated.
Yep, you gonna take that one too?
Yoink.
It's a really good word. I'd hope you would use it.
Here, I'll give you one. Eviscerated.
Oh yeah, I think I know that word. I just don't use it. I always like forget it, you know. So
there you go. Eviscerated
noted,
is a
thank
good
you.
one. Eviscerated, save it for like an impact kill or like a grenade kill or like an explosive kill, right? You know,
Nade from the
bomb-
grave was pretty good.
Yeah,
though.
nade from the
But
grave is good.
They don't
But
always
that's
die with
like,
it to the
that's
grenade.
like a 1 in a million chance to get to use it, right? That like
True.
that is not a likely scenario. So we're literally like teaching each other words as we go along, which is what you should be doing when casting. But you know, we are always ever learning, and we do.
Oh, we get to see it.
We get to see it. We get to see
No
Kitchen.
Valk, but yeah, no Valk. That's okay. It's a good
That's
lineup
fine.
still.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a Mozzie, that's a little bit more information. You a little bit more active information, I would say, because you can hack a drone. And at this level of play in this division, I definitely think that CMU2 will probably make a couple small mistakes and lose a drone or two to those pests. I definitely think that is a possibility. So I think a pretty insightful decision from Blobfish to bring that out. But the question truly remains, why did they bring the Roni? Why not bring the Commando? I mean, why not take command of the situation and bring the assault rifle? It may not have the 1.5 scope. It may not have the fire rate, but it does have more ammo, higher damage, less recoil, and it rhymes so that I can make good puns like taking command of the situation.
It's all down to personal preference because both guns are really good. I think for Cafe, the Commando's probably a little bit better just because it's a very big and dense map. But if done the right way, Blobfish can just sit in a corner somewhere and just wait for the perfect moment to find a kill, and he'll get it pretty easily because that pepperoni is just a straight bullet hose. It's like a mini vector just put in your right pocket. It's almost like a pistol, for Christ's sake, but it's really strong regardless of that. But you know, who really knows? But he'll be on some type of roam extension just to stall for time. And with a great gun like the P10 Roni or the Commando, if he brought that gun, he can probably find a kill on at least somebody. But CMU2, it looks like they're going to go for a bakery-sided push. I don't really see them actually going up above to get rid of that roam clear. And they haven't even entered the building up until now. So a minute being burned off the clock for pretty much no actual value. And Swolverine, he'll try to find the pick on the player inside of Kochek, but he's not going to be successful just yet. Blobfish with that entry, like I mentioned earlier. So now CMU2, they're already at a disadvantage and are beginning to run kind of low on time.
I mean, when you've only got a minute and a half left on the clock and you haven't been able to clear out Kochek, you haven't been able to clear out front lobby, there's a lot of questions that you need answered. There's something not working for you, and you got to make the rotation. We're going to see Swolverine. They've rotated back through Bakery, making an audio cue. Spicy Fish with an angle maybe to intercept, maybe to deny. They'll step forward, finding one, but notice there's a second Swolverine out for the count. No regenerative abilities on this X-Men hero today, but still with 3 players in the pocket, so to say. King Crimson, Omega Wolf, and Pepperoni, the last 3 standing for the CMU squad. And Oswego's continuing to try and look for an opportunity to punish, but Pepperoni will find it instead. Danky will be out for the count as they'll connect with the Elite 52. And now you've got a bad position if you're stuck in Bakery. You have no real way to enter. You know what player is close by. An SMG-11 in pocket. Could be a run out to deny once you hear the thermite charge go down. And this exothermic blast does make a large enough audio cue. They could make the rush out, but instead they're turning around to go back into kitchen service, take a more advantageous defensive position, and turtling up instead. An interesting decision to not do the aggressive nature that CMU has been famous for on their first primary team. But it's not going to matter because J-Boss finds Omega Wolf. A 4v2, 20 seconds on the clock, and it looks like Oswego may be able to make this a 5-3 split if they can just continue to punish Outwood. J-Boss finds a second to Pepperoni. Now just King left, trapped inside Bakery. Takes some nice shots to the side. It'll be a team kill that Blobfish does instead, but in the end, they'll clean it up as well. Let's take a look at this. Yep, absolutely.
He really wanted that kill.
Eviscerated.
Yeah, demolished.
Health bar evaporated.
Good night.
That's a good one as well.
Collat. Good one, Blobfish. Good one.
Where's the my home? And just like Face Clan like montage, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Maybe
just
one
like,
day.
That's the montage moment right there. He got the collab. Not with the intervention, for
Sign him
whatever
up.
sniper you preferred in Modern Warfare 2, and if you preferred anything but the intervention, you were insane. Unless it
True.
was a Mark 14. I actually kind of like that one, the EBR. That one's pretty good. But no, by all means, a great round for once again. Oswego, as they were able to just completely deny, but now they're going to have to head through the dreaded tertiary objective choice, and the only tertiary objective choice of Reading Room and Fireplace.
This is true, because mining room is horrible, and you
What
should
room?
never go that bomb
I've
site.
never heard of it.
Even though CMU did do a good job defending it the second time, that was just kind of given to them because of how much time was wasted by Oswego. It just is the fact that they just did worse than CMU2 on that round in particular. I hate to be the mean guy about it, but it's true, you know, and at least they'll have something to look on moving forward, like some great note-taking for grand finals, either two teams, whether they make it or not. But moving into the current round right now, Reading Room and Fireplace, like Scott mentioned, and a pretty decent extension up above for Oswego. The Valkyrie on the board as well, so we do in fact get to see it. And the reason why we love her so much is because she's probably one of the, if not the best overall intel gatherer in the game. Anyone and everyone can use her gadget of those black eye cameras pretty easily, and her MPX, no recoil, headshot machine, and a C4 for the icing on top of the cake. She is just the jack of all trades. She is a great operator time and time again, so that's why you gotta bring her. She's just a good operator that you just should bring all the time. No exceptions, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, and take a look over on the left side of your screen real fast. Will all passengers please take a look to the left side of the airplane? J-Boss is using the commando. That is my point. That's it. All of that for
Let's
the
go.
fact that we're going to see a commando. We're going to see, of course, the 416C, which will be receiving a slight nerf. I think the biggest hit's going to be the recoil pattern difference, but a lot of phenomenally strong weapons in the hand of Oswego, and I don't think it's a comfortability pick. Honestly, it does look like some of these picks may be just because they're comfortable, but I don't think that matters. I genuinely feel that Oswego knows how to use the utility, knows when to use it, and can continue to maybe find that success. I say that, but J-Boss has like 20 drones around with no pass left, so unable to get that one going for them, but they will be able to get it going for them as Swolverine is taken out once again. Secured, and now Oswego lead in a 5-4 overhead, and with a minute and a half left still in this round.
And they've wasted so much time and a little bit of manpower as well. That's always nice. So they have the man advantage, and they need to stall for about another half a minute, give or take. And CMU2 is going to be in deep water, and they might not be able to swim through it. They might just end up drowning on this 9th round. So the fact that there's still players up above and Danky still doing his job on the kills, picks up a second for himself. Blobfish narrowly missing out on one opportunity. He gets presented another one, but he's not going to win that one either. But it doesn't really matter. He's wasting plenty of time. Amazing shot onto a Mega Wolf. Now a 4v1 as finally Blobfish will be eliminated. But Danky on a third. Can he get the 4K on a Pepperoni? It's a possibility, but it might not happen. Does it matter though? Probably not, because he still has to find 4 separate kills with only about 30 seconds, and he doesn't have carrier in his pocket. He still has to go looking for that, or just go guns blazing in this last half a minute of the round. He's aware of the Jaeger player in the back of heaven, but he loses the fight. Donkey with an amazing 4K to end off the 9th round, and that one will be won for Oswego again. They are just on a roll right now on this defensive side of Cafe.
I think CMU just haven't found the right answer. I think that one of the big things we're noticing is I want you to repicture here and completely still delete out train and mining, right? Those don't exist.
I'll try.
Yeah, just delete those rounds. But when we saw Reading Room and Fireplace, when we saw those objectives, we noticed that there was not a heavy third floor presence from CMU's defense. There was not. They turtled up, and I called that out. I said, you're sitting ducks. It's not what you want to be. It's not the right strategy, and it comes to bite them in the rear. And so when we see them win around, it's because they weren't turtling. They were kind of playing elsewhere, and this was on mining, unfortunately. But they had a player inside Reading Room. They had some players roaming around inside Main Central Lobby. They had players on the first floor of all places as well. I mean, they had so much, I guess, widespread. They had so much off-site presence, is I guess the term that I'm looking for, that they were able to make Oswego get punished for any small mistake they had because there was a player just around the next corner. That's what Oswego's doing now. CMU have had no answers. They have had no luck. and they have been utterly, I guess, caught off guard is the term that I'm going to say, because I think in a firefight, CMU has a good chance of winning a lot of these engagements. Maybe not when Danky is popping off and getting a 4K for themselves, but when they're in a fair 50-50 gunfight, I think CMU can take a pretty good majority of those kills. It just is a problem with getting caught off guard and Oswego punishing them for it. You're seeing them drop down main hatch towards red stairs. You're seeing them drop down and try to step inward as they head towards Cigar, but they're getting caught off on a crossfire angle inside main bar room, and they're getting cut off from that cocktail lounge wall, and they're being befuddled because of it. They're befuddled, getting befelled, and unfortunately, this might just be the buffet end. I didn't have another.
The befend.
The befend. I didn't have another word for it, so I wanted another.
No, I mean, I thought it was fun. It did its job. So, I'm okay with it, honestly.
If it
It was a
fits,
thumbs up.
It's
Oh yeah, the boot definitely fit there for sure. So I'm okay with it. But right now, I'm not okay with the fact that CMU2 is being really quiet on this possible last round if they don't play their cards right. And right now, it doesn't look like they have a good deck in their hands because they are still sitting outside. They haven't done really any drone work at all. There's still players underneath like Blobfish who could really be a huge kick in the head later on. So I'm really concerned about CMU2 right now because if they don't do their due diligence, which they really haven't been, then it might be over for them, especially when it comes down to these last couple of moments of this round. It's going to be really sloppy work by them, and they can't afford those kind of mistakes on the last round where they have to win or Oswego take the victory 7-3.
Absolutely, and when you've got a high ground advantage like you do right here, in Danky's position, the same one we just saw previously in the round before, but this time, nades being tossed out, and that'll be Silver Fox who connects with a large amount of damage to this player of Danky trapped right now inside Cocktail Lounge 2, or C2 as it is called, but it's not going to really matter when Swolverine has died consistently as the first person in, I believe, the last 3 rounds, and then quickly another one goes in their favor as Blobfish finds Silver Fox, and now you've got no Swolverine, you've got no Silver Fox, and you might just lose your Wolf as well. You're going to be running out of animals here. What's that, the old speaking spell, that goes like, well, the cow says, well, they're about to say nothing because right now Oswego's doing a phenomenal job of just continuously taking them out for the count, and the last nades from Omega Wolf will be relegated out, not finding very much impact in terms of onto players. And now they're forced to kind of play into these Gemini drones. Shots going from the side. Cigar, Danky felled through as they're going to be taken out for the count, but can still be picked up. The downed but not outstage, and the player, I don't think, realizes they have downed them as you don't get the clue to go forward. But a flank, take a look at this position. Blobfish is coming up from the rear. Pepperoni down from a firefight between Cigar Lounge, and King Crimson finds Blobfish denying the flank, but Spicy finds it with a Toxic Babe before being felled by Omega Wolf themselves. J-Boss finds King Crimson, and Omega Wolf is nowhere near the diffuser, and Oswego will guarantee round 10 and ending off Cafe in a wonderful fashion.
Yeah, they wasted so much time. Honestly, that wasn't even them. That was just CMU2 just sitting outside for far too long, not doing a single thing. And then when they entered the building, they didn't notice Blobfish. He got a free 2K, and that really flustered CMU2. It was only a matter of time before they lost the round. They just lost because they didn't have any manpower to counteract Oswego when attacking the actual bomb site. So amazing first win for Oswego, but it's not over yet. We go to a second map, which is going to be Oregon. But before we do that, we're going to go into a short little break for 5 or so minutes, and then we will all return to you for that second map of the evening.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head.
Welcome back to NECC. Hope you didn't mind the short little break. If you need a reminder, my name is Fellow, also joined here by Infernosis, and we're going right back in for game number 2 of this evening, Oswego versus CMU2. And map number 1, I wouldn't call it a blowout, but it was a very decisive win for Oswego, not losing a single time on their defensive hold of Cafe Dostoevsky. And now we're heading to another very defender-favorited map. It's going to be Oregon, or as most people like to call it, Borgen. So Oswego on that defensive hold as well, they might give themselves a lot of early round wins moving on, and CMU2 might not be able to recover in time to end up winning the second matchup. But we're not going to have to speculate for that long because we're already going into the game itself, so we can see the bans befold right upon us.
Well, I think the band should be pretty basic. I guess is kind of the term for it. It's going to be pretty normal. I don't think there's going to be anything too strange. You're going to see either Habana and Ace to Thatcher, right? That's going to be your attacking bands. Maybe we see the Jackal again because it is collegiate and these teams do have that history of banning that, but Thatcher would be the first to go to and guarantee themselves a position of not allowing Thatcher to be played. And so it puts them in a position of maybe success, maybe not success. I mean, it can be a toss-up. It can be a coin flipped into the air. So maybe think about it a little bit more. But the second ban to come through, this should be a hard breacher. Teams should realize that it should be a hard breacher, and it's not. It is a nomad, and I genuinely don't think this would have been on anyone's radar to be banned.
Think a Maverick or a Habana, even an Ace would have been a really good idea, but that's not going to happen. So not as much flank watch possibly, so that could allow Oswego to be incredibly aggressive on their first half, but there's still obviously people like the Gridlock, for example, or Zero if you want to get really fancy about your flank watch and still have some type of intel or utility to deny those pushes coming out. Mira, though, speaking of intel, she's not going to be on the board. The exact opposite of what was the case last map. So those common E-box holds will no longer be a thing. And Kaid, similar to match number 1 on Cafe, will be off the board as well. So at least getting hatches opened will be a lot easier for those Maverick or Habana players, whatever CMU2 is comfortable with bringing. But moving forward to round number 1, I want to see where we're going to go because it could be anywhere. It could be somewhere really common. It'll be Kid Storms. Okay, we're not straying away from the default. Okay, all right then. Feels bad. I kind of wanted something wild. I was like, we already saw Mining Room twice. And I was like, maybe we'll get something, fancy by Oswego, but no, they like to stick to the basic stuff. I hate to see it.
Nah, I mean, okay, it is Oswego on the defense. So, like, they're not CMU. They're not going to pick Mining Room, right? And honestly, both of the objectives on Oregon are viable. Both tertiary objectives are viable.
Yeah.
Honestly, I prefer the one most people don't like. I prefer dining and kitchen. A lot of people prefer meeting hall because they are crazy, right? Because they don't think things through like I do with my 10,000 IQ forehead. That's why it's so large, right? That's why I usually hide it with my long hair. Yeah. So I just don't like focusing everything on meeting hall. I don't like having that be what comes to play. I don't like having that be the centralized focus. And thankfully, we probably won't see that. So we're going to have a Maverick allowed, which means you're more than likely going to see either a Maverick trick or something of the sort placed onto that bandit wall, which is going to be an electro shot with those bandit batteries into the attic. And you're probably going to see Ace head instead over to walk-in closet. It's a north to south pincer, a very standardized attack. If CMU does one thing that is standard and normal in this match, it's more than likely going to be that. But I don't like the fact that I'm seeing a roam clear on the south side and only one person on the north.
Yeah, a couple of head scratchers for sure, but at least we're in the right direction, I suppose you could say that. CMU2, they're not trying to waste a lot of time getting into the master bedroom area to get that back wall inside of walk-in closet opened up, but Danky is there to try to slow them down at least a little bit. And Blobfish not too far away as well. He'll take a little bit of damage near that armory wall, but he actually wins the gunfight against Pepperoni. There goes your Jackal player. All of your roam clear potential down the drain other than Omega Wolf, but still an amazing start for Oswego and a very slow one as well, might I add, on the opposite side for CMU2. They haven't really done much in the first minute of this action phase, and they're kind of just being very, very calm at the moment, which is not what they should be doing when they're down a player.
I mean, you're down, you kind of need to even it back out. And I think the one thing we're seeing is maybe some, I guess, growing up, maybe, I guess. They don't want to get too greedy for it, but
Ooh.
I'll tell you who is going to get greedy for it. Spicy Fish, who is just eking their way ever closer and will finish off the Fox duo. So that will guarantee it. That right there. The fish is mightier than the fox, even though Discovery Channel would have you want to think differently. Do not listen to them. The tuna flounders all. But with 1 minute and 15 seconds now left on the clock, and CMU left needing answers, they'll not be able to find any pretty quickly as Blobfish will secure yet another into a wolf. So yet again, the tuna flounders all, but will be floundered out in the end as the king will be crowned victorious, and a 4v2 is underfoot. Swolverine and King Crimson, the last two standing for CMU, looking for an outside angle. Swolverine holding a position on big window, knows there's one player behind bunk bed, will take some shots to the arm, but Some slow reactions by Danky as well to not take the shot initially, but King Crimson inside master bedroom looking like they just don't have an answer for what to do at this point in time.
I mean, they have to push in from the deer doorway and also big window to complete death traps, and proving that point pretty efficiently, Danky will do that, shutting down Swolverine. It's a 1v4 all up to King Crimson, and he has to go through so much utility. Those smoke grenades, C4s being thrown out as well. It's basically hopeless for him. He might as well just sit in the back, go for a tactical timeout in these last 20 seconds, and just see what his team wants to do to prepare for the next round, which will most likely be inside of laundry and supply. Even more smoke grenades being thrown at him, but he'll just barge right on through it. I like the bravery there, but it was pretty much guaranteed to be a loss, and Oswego will take their first round.
Yeah, I don't really know what more you can do when Blobfish goes on a rampage and, you know, flounders themselves around. What's another good fish term? What's another good fish pun? I'm gonna run out.
I thought I had on tip of my tongue, but I think you said it. Floundering, flailing. A lot of fish flail a lot when they're out of water.
Yeah, but flounder for like the fish, like it's a pun on terms because you can flounder around and there's the flounder. You know?
I don't know. I was gonna say something really funny when King Crimson got a kill. I was gonna say King must have been fishing with the boys and found blobfish, but like that ship had already sailed, so it was funny. But
how about let's think about it like this? How about we go with something like
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by
I had it for a second there. Catfish with the cat kiss of death or something like that. I don't know. It's like a near rhyme. It doesn't hit enough.
I like that. It's cool though. I gotta admit, pretty good wit there.
What if we did like a siren song, like a mermaid?
Yeah, what if we're just really loud and annoying? I wouldn't do that. Fish Pog, that's a good one.
Fish Pog, yeah.
Fish Pog, anyone remember that?
Yeah.
There's a lot of good jokes left and right. But anyways, enough with all the friendly banter. We'll probably go back into that later on. It's bound to happen when you have me and Infernosis casting a game on Rainbow6. But meeting room and kitchen, a site you don't like all that much, at least compared to dining room. It's growing on me a little bit just because the fact that dining room people just don't attack it the right way for it to be a good site. The whole gimmick is that you can extend into showers, and a lot of the times teams just ignore that outright and they just go into meeting room. And when you're not defending meeting room as a bomb site, it's pretty difficult to actually stop people from going in that part of the building. So once the attackers have meeting control, they can just get the back wall of kitchen opened up and go for a plant. But because meeting room is being played as the bomb site itself, you really can't do that. It's a lot more difficult because now Oswego is actually putting a lot of manpower in that direction. But a little while ago, a month or so, I would agree with you wholeheartedly that dining room was a much better defensive site to hold, but I can't really say the same thing moving forward in the future of this game.
Why not?
Sorry.
Why?
I just said why. I literally gave like a half a minute explanation so I could hand it off to you.
I didn't like it enough.
All right, well, stay mad. Stay mad then. All right? Stay mad.
No, dining room is better, all right? Much like we just saw, Swolverine is just better than J-Boss, being felt right outside the doorway master bedroom, now in a difficult position, peeking towards this Arsenal Hall on this second floor, but with Danky sitting inside of Armory themselves, could be a crossfire to come through, but it'll be Spicy Fish who finds it with a T5 SMG, and Silver takes some damage elsewhere, so they're taking continuous damage at this point in time, maybe some firefight between Spicy towards Big Window inside of bunk room, but I mean at this point in time it's just slowing the pace. CMU are kind of forced to play into Oswego's game, and the Spicy Fish doesn't need necessarily to find all these kills. They just need to slow down the pace, and they'll do just that before being felled by Silver Fox, looking at the feet instead of the body. But the diffuser is being planted. King Crimson in a position to actually plant it down, apparently. But Pepperoni finds complexity. Now Oswego left in a 2v4. Danky trying to get a play, but it'll be Pepperoni instead. And Danky taken out by the King. It's like a Burger King reference. How many Burger King? Did we get references for that? It's the King.
Yeah, that works. Give him, crown him up. Give him the crown. I don't know. But amazing attacking round for CMU2. That is the one site that you're almost guaranteed, at least statistically speaking. That site and dining room are probably the two most difficult sites to defend on Oregon, no matter how you look at it. And that is the one issue with kitchen and meeting, is that if you don't have enough manpower to stop the dining room side push, then it's really difficult to stop the plant from coming down, especially when you don't have those players up above, which CMU2 just had cleared out so they can go for that plant. So it was a amazing execute, worked out perfectly for him, which is why CMU2 won that round. So now Oswego, knowing better, they're going to go laundry and supply, a much more difficult site to attack from. And from what it appears to be, they're going to be going for that elbow extension that we commonly see. So a lot of their utility is going to be dumped in this specific direction, the eastern side of the map. Back in the day, really strong. Currently, it's still pretty strong done the right way, but they're still going to have to worry about that freezer and laundry stairwell sided push, because that can also be a huge issue to deal with, especially if CMU2 just completely ignores this blue bunker sided push entirely.
What's your favorite push? Because I mean, like, if you're going to take blue bunker, you have to take pillar eventually. So there's the thought process of going big tower, taking pillar, and then taking, you know, blue bunker, and then working your way inward, or you take in and you go freezer and you go laundry. But if you're going to go 2-2 split, you need to do a one player towards pillar, because you still have to have pillar control. What's your favorite plan? What's the one you like to see? I know obviously we see a little bit more of pillar focus usually, but what's the one you like to see the most?
I feel like one player or two players big tower, depending on how you're feeling that time, 2 players or 3 on freezer, and then 1 going laundry. Just completely ignore blue bunker just in case they put all their utility in that one direction, and normally it'll work out pretty well for you. But you can also have to worry about a lot of utility being dumped inside a freezer, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. Just depends on if you know how your opponent is going to want to defend that bomb site. And CMU2, doesn't really matter if they know how well Oswego will be playing into them. They'll find the entry. Danky eventually even things up on the King Crimson. So there goes your hard breacher other than Maverick. But Omega Wolf really doesn't seem to care. He finds a second for himself. Now CMU2 again have that man advantage, and they have a lot of potential moving forward. It's still 1:40 on the clock. They're getting that E-box hatch opened up, so maybe we'll see that big tower stairwell sided push and just trying to put all of that pressure inside the B bomb site, and maybe going for a possible plant, because Dokkaebi still has that carrier in her back pocket.
And on top of having the carry in the back pocket, you have a lot of roamers. You still have a player on that first floor. You still have an off-site presence available for Oswego. CMU are going to need to watch their rear, much like Wolverine should have watched their rear to realize the ADSs were there before swinging and missing, much like I did in my baseball career, or lack thereof. But now swinging through, Pepperoni will find a kill onto J-Boss, and now it's going to be a rerun through, as Blobfish will have to make the return back to the objective. Complexity inside a freezer door felled, and now it's Blobfish rushing out and taken out by Pepperoni inside of laundry pockets. And CMU will find successive 2 rounds back-to-back on the attack. And on such a mediumly defensive-sided map, this does not necessarily bode well for an Oswego fan.
The 2 entry kills by Omega Wolf really caught Oswego off guard, and then the blue bunker and big tower stairwell push that you and I both were kind of hinting at earlier in the round, just, it was too much for them to handle considering the circumstances that they were in. So great round win again by CMU2, just putting all of their manpower in one direction and just bringing that into their potential. They almost got the plant down, if not did. Didn't really matter though. They basically just killed everyone inside of sight. So it didn't matter that the plant got down, but it is always a nice thing to have as well. Get some extra points for your overall MVP screen, possibly, if you get to that. But now we're heading back to Kids and Dorms, which was a site that was easily won by Oswego. They denied the attic push. They denied the peak coming out by Armory window on that rappel. Pepperoni met his maker pretty early on that Jackal pick. Now he's moving on to something a little bit different, the Ash, so his role will be significantly different. Maybe he'll help out Silver Fox with the soft destruction on that Maverick trick in the back area, or he'll go underneath for Classroom to help the Ace, or now Thermite player of King Crimson, on his role. It doesn't really matter, but either way, he'll be playing a little bit differently and probably will not have to encounter anybody like Blobfish early on, which ended up forcing him to die in a really tough position early on.
Yeah, when you're stuck in a bit of a tough situation, you kind of get stuck in a rut, and that's exactly where you don't want to be. You want to be in a position where you can continue to find success and let success fall into your lap. And I kind of think that's what CMU has had. I think success has fallen into their lap. Oswego have taken positions off-site, have taken positions in some acute angles, and kind of get caught off guard by the way that CMU2 is pushing in. It looks like CMU2 is taking a page out of CMU1's book with the way that they're playing. They have a lot of aggression. They have a lot of angles. They're not waiting till the final few moments, and they're winning gunfights. I stated this last map. They're winning a lot of 50-50 engagements, and I think that is pretty standard for a CMU team. I think that they have some fraggers for their side. We definitely know their main squad does, but their second squad apparently does as well. And already into this one, the top fragger of this map, Pepperoni, 4-1-1 and looking spectacular for it. But they're trying to still gather the information on this second floor towards Trophy Room. There's one player sitting inside. I actually believe that's Pepperoni inside of Armory. And this could be a difficult position if Danky gets caught off guard because they're a little bit too focused, a little bit too tunnel visioned in on this master bedroom doorway.
Yeah, he could meet his maker pretty early if he doesn't play his cards right. But he hasn't been pushed out just yet, so he's able to waste a little more time, but Silver Fox is not going to waste any more time whatsoever. He'll pick up the kill on a Spicy Fish, so the exact same thing won't happen. The Maverick trick's successful. Now CMU2 can start pushing in from that northern side, moving in towards the south, but Thermite getting down. Doesn't really matter though. Pepperoni picks up 2 massive frags and the revive comes out as well. A minute 10 on the clock and things are looking fantastic for CMU2. They'll see a little bit of feedback coming out by J-Boss, but it doesn't really matter. Silver Fox from behind will deny the clutch by J-Boss, and a 3rd round win in a row comes out by CMU2. They are doing an amazing job on this attacking side of Oregon. I am completely shocked with how well they're playing.
Yeah, and for a map that's so defensive sided, every map is, so it's a little bit weird to say that, but for a map that is defensive sided, it's interesting to see CMU come out on top for the attack. It's interesting to see them kind of play that one out, but if you remember correctly, it was Oswego's defense on Cafe, which is kind of hard now to remember correctly, that completely shut out CMU. So CMU have won more rounds on the attack in this map than they won at all on Cafe, by 3. So like it's pretty spectacular to see them finally come into stride, find their own, and find rapid levels of success. And Oswego now need to find an answer. They have not been able to find success. They have been shut down at every opportunity, and CMU has done a great job of keeping them at bay. If anything, I would say Oswego's mentality is down bad right now. They're not looking hot. They're peaking angles they shouldn't be. They look a little shaky, in all honesty. Their positioning seems a little bit subpar. CMU are just punishing those small mistakes that Oswego is leaving onto the table. It's like a Thanksgiving dinner, and CMU is just eating it up like it's a buffet.
It really shows that this was CMU2's map pick because they just look so comfortable right now. They're just in their own element, and it's working out perfectly for them. They've won 3 rounds on the attacking side of Oregon. 3 rounds. If they lose these next 2, it really doesn't matter because they'll still be in a fantastic position against Oswego because then they will be defending, and Oregon is probably the most defender-favored map in all of R6 currently. I think it outweighs Cafe by just a sliver, just because of Kitchen and Meeting being pretty good, or Dining, if you have a preference to that. I know you do, of course, but it doesn't really matter. The point I'm getting at is Oregon's really difficult to attack on unless done completely perfectly. 110%, 0 errors. You have to have negative errors, as a matter of fact. You have to hope that the defensive team actually starts making errors on their own. But speaking of trying to have 0 errors, CMU2 wasting little to no time, getting that back wall opened up. Maverick will begin that blowtorch sequence so they can start getting a little bit more map control in their favor. So a decent start for CMU2, but there's still plenty of time for that to obviously change up, perhaps, and maybe Oswego will take an advantage through a gunfight, perhaps.
With only 2 minutes on the clock and really no one has been felled just yet, I think Oswego has managed to put themselves in a spot where they can be able to find a little bit of success, and they'll do just that. Blufffish finding Pepperoni out and completing the kill, and now another food group off for the board, and they're trying to try to continue that same variation. And much like you see a bear pelt on the wall right there, we may see a Wolverine pelt or a Fox pelt up next, or a wolf pelt, but it's going to be the King who's taken out this time. Ooh. Now another kill drops as a Mega Wolf taken out by Danky, And Denki with a spicy kill as they peek out towards that outside catwalk. And now it's Oswego in a 5 versus 2 play. They're trying to claw themselves back into this matchup, and they're doing a great job of doing so. But with a minute left on the clock, CMU still have 2 great players on the board. They've got nades. They have 1 nade. They have utility in terms of breaching rounds. They have an LNGE, for goodness sake. I mean, this could still go. It's not going in their favor.
I love that complete turnaround of just, they could have this in the bag. Yeah, no, never mind. Silver Fox just died. It's a 1v5 now. I would like to agree with you. There isn't much that Swolverine can really do except just bait kills, so at least he's got that going for him. But other than that, he's got to find 5 kills, half a minute on the clock. He hops right into the bomb site, and J-Boss is there to annihilate him almost instantaneously. A flawless round for Oswego. Amazing comeback when they needed it most, and now 2-3. They're still down by 1 round, and now they have to go to either meeting, dining, or supply, which they haven't won any of those bomb sites a single time. Kids was the only time they saw success. What was that, Scott?
They can go basement.
Yeah, no, I'm saying they can go either of those sites, but they haven't
They can go anywhere. Just go anywhere. Just, forego all rules.
I mean, maybe not kids, because that would be illegal. They'd be like cheating or something. That wouldn't be good.
Yeah,
but
there's a hack client or something involved.
I mean, if you want to go for it, I guess
check
you
this
do whatever
dude's
you want.
Moss. He's playing a map back to back. I say that even if you want it or not. Right?
They check Moss,
Don't play the same objective twice. Obviously, it works out there, but that's because it's Oregon. That's just the best objective. Right? I mean, that's just the go-to. But they're actually going to be playing meeting hall and kitchen here. They're going to be picking up the other tertiary objective choice. And I think if we're going to want to see Oswego find success here, then they're going to need to put a massive emphasis on this second floor. This is what actually befell CMU's main squad just the match prior. This is actually what caused them so much of a panic when their opposing team was so just ingrained, so how do I say this, sheltered on that second floor. I mean, they were non-removable. I mean, they're like those stickers on every piece of plastic cup you ever buy. They're not coming off. That tag, that barcode is never coming off that piece of like appliance you've ever bought.
I don't even attempt.
Yeah, it's just a panic at that point. Yeah. It's like if I take it off, it's gonna look worse, right?
Yeah.
But like, you need to see this from Oswego if they want any chance of taking this round again. CMU may be caught off guard by it, and we may actually see them try to take the second floor. But Oswego, if they can hold the second floor for even just a minute and a half, they put themselves in a position that will make CMU have a maybe 1 in 4 chance of winning the round in the end.
You're absolutely right, because that was the issue. CMU2 cleared out the top floor with a lot of time left, and then they moved into dining room, got control of kitchen due to that verticality and slight man advantage by 1 player 4-on-3, and then they got the plant down, and there wasn't really much else we could really do, so they lost pretty successfully. I mean, it sounds like a really harsh way to say it, but it is true. I mean, you literally were just talking about it, and I'm going to double down on that talking point just because it was so good, but 2 minutes on the clock, and CMU2 hasn't cleared anybody out just yet. Great drone work by Blobfish using his pest drone to spot out Swolverine. Maybe he'll meet his maker very soon. He'll get into some type of gun engagement eventually, but he's holding down a tight angle across the ways in towards that attic doorway. But instead, Blobfish walks away, and beautiful shot by Swolverine. Just absolute dedication on that angle will guarantee him a fruitful kill on a J-Boss, but a trade comes out by Danky all the way in towards dining room, so although they have top floor cleared out, at least the man count is evened up 4-4.
Yeah, and they may have this control like you stated, but it's not really going to matter too much as long as Oswego can continue to maybe hold some apex positionings, hold some cheeky angles, hold some pixel peaks. They may have lost that second floor, but you still have the first. You still have so much room down here. Look at Blobfish. They're just hanging out on that first floor, nowhere near the objective, I may add. And I think that we may actually see them try to take the plant in kitchen, which is an interesting choice, but a player will drop down. Spicy Fish taking some damage into the opposing side, but Silver Fox will clean up instead. And now Danky, who's rotating in from dining, may have an opportunity to get a kill. Does find King Crimson, guaranteeing the double, but befelled once again by Silver Fox, who's able to clean up and now it's a 2v3, but Blobfish sitting still inside of Dining Hall will make it a little bit more difficult. Complexity with a T5 SMG to Pepperoni. Blobfish with the Roni into Omega Wolf, and now a 2v1. And Silver Fox able to make it a little bit more even as they'll guarantee a 3K. But they've got to pull this Goo-Mine out of the ankle, and they've got to find Blobfish. There's only about 20 health between the two of them total. But Silver Fox has the utility, has drones and information, has nades, and can spray through that wall to maybe find some success. Blobfish does not have a nitro. They neither has the diffuser. Silver Fox will pick it up now, rotating to a little bit more of an advantageous position to plant. And Blobfish will bait out, just taking some hipfire shots, stepping through. And Blobfish has the faster firing weapon. And Oswego will win round 6, tying it up at halftime.
I mean, it was the dining control. They may have lost top floor relatively early on, but the fact that Oswego was able to keep things going instead of dining, Blobfish winning so many important gunfights, denying the plant, and then forcing the Maverick to push him in such a terrible position. It was an amazing recovery round for Oswego when they really needed it most. Now it'll be 3-3 as the sides finally end up switching, and now CMU2, they're on Kids in Dorms, and they're already bringing such a different lineup compared to Oswego's. The Aruni coming out, the Castle, the Maestro. This looks like a meeting room defensive hold, but we're going to Kids on the first defensive round for the second half.
Attackers need to locate and
So
defuse as many
CMU
bombs as
is
they can.
not weird.
I don't know.
They're doing something that's normal. I mean,
Wow.
who is this team? Like, what have they done with our CMU? They're picking a go-to
Their big brothers are
objective.
playing.
This is crazy. Who? What'd you say?
So their big brothers are playing. That's always the go-to joke. You just see a huge drastic change in a team. It's just like, oh yeah, no, their big brothers now playing. That's the running gag. It's a good one though.
Yeah. What's like the thing that's like a pretty famous TikTok now of like the year 2060 or something like that, and the kid's like, we're getting wrecked. He goes, we gotta call our dads. You know? Like,
Yeah.
just everyone at that point, all the dads are going to be gamers, right? They're gonna be holding their own and actually be good at games, right? Hopefully. Maybe your old age will befell us in the end. Much like Oswego was able to befell CMU in the last round, holding out on their defense, but now they have a more difficult job ahead of them. They're going to have to be able to pull this off an attack on a map that is defensive-sided and on an objective that is exceedingly difficult to hold onto an attack, especially when you don't have a Nomad to deny that roam. And right now, Danky may be able to deny that green hallway towards Kitchen Hall with those track stingers, but they don't actually have the ability to deny out basement steps, which, as we did see from a nice little orange outline, there is a roaming player coming from the basement.
I mean, you still, of course, have those tracks to work with and the Sam cams, I guess you want to call it that. Sam Fisher's cameras that he can use, the Arguses, if you want to call them by their proper name, but it doesn't really look like it's working out for him. Pepperoni picks up the entry, but what a shot by Danky. How do you get away with that? Now a 4-on-4, and Addict is in the hands of Oswego at the current moment. Of course, they have plenty of intel with that Evil Eye, but now that Silverine is down for the count, it might not be that helpful, but Silver Fox winning that gunfight due to the fact that Danky was on incredibly low HP from his past gun engagement, that will give CMU2 the man advantage and the recontrol of Addict. Still able to deny it for a little while longer, goes around for the pop shots, but isn't able to connect onto anybody or anything. So things have calmed down a little bit, but as long as Silver Fox is able to deny this Addict push, this is a great defensive hold for CMU2, and the fact that Zero has put the breaching charge in such a horrible position, it doesn't really matter though. Complexity still wins the gunfight, but that could have been such an easy kill for Silver Fox if peeking at just the right moment, but sadly, that won't be the case.
I like that Danky peeks in and steps inward to get the Malusi Banshee out and melee it out like you should, but doing it without actually having full support from Blobfish on that attic window. They should have been watching attic window. They should have been holding that angle as a supporting side. They should have been ready to catch that player off guard initially, and while they do still win that fight, Danky loses the next because they're low HP. And you shouldn't lose that engagement, but right now, J-Boss Repelling outside of the children's room, looking for maybe an opportunity to find a kill. Oh my goodness, the first bullet finds success, and King Crimson will be decrowned in this round. Omega Wolf looking for a chance, but taken out as well, and J-Boss will secure the double. Man, what a phenomenal finish off to that round. Oswego making it look easy towards the end, but they definitely had a tough time in the first half of that round.
I mean, they got the addict wall opened up almost immediately, but they also immediately lost the man advantage. A great entry by Pepperoni. It was eventually traded off, but then it was doubled down by or was it Silverine? I can't recall. Silver Fox, Silverine, two very similar names, but the Jaeger player instead of addict changed things
Silver
up
Fox.
again. What was that?
It's Silver Fox.
It was okay. I thought so because I was like, Solring wasn't there, but just wanted to be clear. Thank you. But the man advantage was still in the favor of CMU2, and Oswego technically didn't have control of Addict. If we had Silver Fox play that a little bit better, wasted some extra time, maybe got himself another kill, that could have been an easy win for CMU2. But in the last couple moments of that round, Oswego just ended up winning their gunfights and just remained calm and collective, even though that was an almost guaranteed loss. Now, though, we're going into supply and laundry, a little bit different of approach for Oswego, and an incredibly opposite lineup for CMU2. The Goyo coming out in a cap can as well. This is completely different, and no elbow extension either.
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, when you don't have a full and substantial ability to kind of extend yourself in the basement, you may be a little bit... You may struggle and you may get cut short. And when they don't actually put a player inside pit, inside of bunker, inside of elbow, inside of blue, whatever you want to call it, right? When you don't have a player sitting inside, I like to call it pit because I like to think of it like a Viper pit, kind of like, you know, in Valorant, right? Yeah, I like to think of it that way. But in the end, right, the snake will have to bite back. That's why it's so interesting to see. You're coiled up, reclused, as you would say, inside of your cubby, and then when the opposing side will make their presence known, you snap, you lash out, and you will, you know, whip out some damage into the opposing side, but they're not doing that at all. CMU just not having a care in the world about that, instead opting to maybe put a little bit more emphasis on this pillar side, which is not an incorrect choice, and the use of the Vulcan shields from Goyo, Wolverine, will make it a little bit slower for this attack to push forward, but Oswego is not going to be slowed down. They have a very quick tempo ahead of them and are looking to maybe to continue it going forward, but difficulty as they didn't bring a Maverick in this round, which makes it basically impossible to actually go in and secure out that elbow wall.
I mean, that is the whole point of bringing a Kaid, right? Is to have a constant option of Maverick on the board so you can get those batteries off the wall. But CMU2, it doesn't matter they didn't extend in towards Blue Bunker. They find the first two entries, amazing shots coming out by two separate players, but Complexity will shut down one. Silver Fox missing out on a great opportunity, but he's still able to slow down this push just so long as he's able to sit inside of Pillar. He'll reposition himself so he can continue to play in the back, but oh my goodness, he'll make it 3! Oh my god, Silver Fox, how do you get away with those plays? He lines up two separate kills and gives himself a third. Now a 1v4 all up to Blobfish. Oh my goodness, the tables immediately turning in the blink of an eye as Silver Fox just lines up two amazing and impactful frags. Wow, Oswego just single-handedly almost lost this round based off of Silver Fox just holding down the fort inside of Pillar. There is not a high chance that Blobfish ends up winning out this round.
If there's one player on the side of Oswego who can do it,
Bomb located by attackers.
probably not Blobfish. It's probably none of them, in complete total honesty here. Just because Silver Fox, the mentality is exceedingly hot. Nobody on Oswego right now is feeling hot. You got denied all by the same player, and they did a phenomenal job of it. You're not looking hot. This is going to be a difficult clutch. They'll find one and get Omega Wolf and bring it to a 1v3, but they're going to need more than just information, as they're going to be yoinked away by a pancake that My Gadget will grab, and now they'll try to step forward with a player of the E-Box hatch from up above and meeting home. Pepperoni fighting with the MP7. And what slight chance there was as they narrowed it to the 1v3 just wasn't meant to be. And like I had stated, you're just not going to see teams be able to pull that one out. And it's not from a lack of skill. It's because when you all get shut down by the same player, that player is no longer just a threat. They're a raid boss. they are the threat. They are, you tunnel vision a little bit too focused on that one player, and you will pay the price because of it.
The fact that there was no Maverick and we had Oswego forcing themselves to walk in through blue barrel doorway, that is something you never want to do. That is a guaranteed death on somebody on your side. I'm assuming Oswego just didn't anticipate it to be that much blood on their own side of the soil there. But, I mean, fantastic hold by Silver Fox once again, really proving that he can lock down these key parts of the map and guarantee a win to come out for his team. So now we're evened up again, now 4-4, and we're going back to kids and dorms with the exact same lineup on the side of CMU2, which not a big fan of, but if they play this out a little bit better, then it shouldn't be that big of an issue. I think the only thing that's different is that Pepperoni is on the Bandit, and I think they had someone else in exchange, but I can't quite recall who.
For which engagement?
No, I'm just saying the team composition. Like, I don't recall the Bandit, but I mean, this lineup other than that is the exact same. I can't recall who they had instead, though.
I don't think they had the Bandit last time. I think they had opted not to bring the Bandit. That's
No,
why
they had
we
no
saw
anti-breach. That's
they had no anti-breach. But I think you're still going to have an issue. They're bringing in a Rooney, which is obviously has worked previously for them. They kind of like that. The Rooney is a super successive weapon, but if we're going to talk about a player that used the Aroni for CMU previously, Wailord, if I remember correctly, right? I mean, they were the ones who got the ace with the Mark 14 on Aroni in the game prior, but nonetheless, I mean, CMU, they're going to have some big footsteps to fill. Their team prior just lost on this map, ending it off and having to make it to go into overtime. Will both CMUs be knocked out, or will they finally have one that will make it a little bit farther along and actually play it off in the finals?
Possibly. This is probably the most evened up match I've seen between these two teams. I mean, especially compared to the last one, 7-3. That was only 10 rounds of actual gameplay. So we're almost just as close as we were on that engagement, but now things are so much different. It's actually 4-4. So both these teams have a bouting chance, at least on Oregon. Then Villa is a complete toss-up, to be completely honest with you, because I honestly would have no clue how either one of these teams will play on that map. But minute 30 on the clock, and it doesn't seem the best of pushes coming out by Oswego. They'll pick up one on a Pepperoni, but that was right after Swolverine found the entry on a Complexity. There goes your ace. Not too sure if he was able to do his job entirely or not, but if not, then this could be a huge issue for Oswego. They'll probably have to funnel in from one specific position, and with the fact that the Alda is still up and running for Swolverine, that could be just an impossible task. They'll have to go through a swarm of bullets, and it just might be impossible. Beautiful shot by Blobfish, though. That'll bring things a little bit more favorable for Oswego. They now have the man advantage yet again, and he almost picks up a second. He'll get lit up across the ways from that foosball angle, but he's still in it to win it here. King Crimson getting downed as well by Danky, and finally, Blobfish will meet his maker. Now in a 3-on-1, though, as Swolverine ends up dying, and Silver Fox has no clue that Danky's just in the middle of sight. Oswego take the 9th round a second time. They are just absolute monsters on this top floor objective room.
I want to say something, but it honestly seems kind of insulting, and I don't mean it to be. It was just like, it was kind of funny to me. The way that Silver Fox turned at the last minute, that reminded me of those terrorist hunt clips where you just see the terrorist like turn, he goes, "Oh!" It just shoots you like in the face. No, I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, in all honesty, I think that it ultimately came down to a very unfortunate situation. You lost a player inside of games, and Blobfish does a spectacular job of cleaning up the kill, and then is able to narrowly miss out on getting the next one, as they were dropped to, I believe, just short of like 10-15 HP. I mean, he won the fight by all accounts. Blobfish wins that fight despite being lower in HP, dealt more damage. Just wasn't enough. Their HP pool wasn't enough to outlast it. But now they're going to be heading back to the 2nd floor, and I think this is kind of a bad decision. Oswego have won this one, and I think you have the notes for this, correct? How many times has Oswego won this against CMU?
1, 2, 3. So we're gonna count all of the rounds so far. 4 times. 4 times they have won this site, and it could be 5 if done properly by Oswego. So hopefully not. That'll put them in a match point, and CMU2 is going to be in a really treacherous position where they could just end up losing after a couple more rounds given back and forth. That would not be what we want to see. I'd love to go to map number 3, but, you know, it's all up to how well CMU2 can play on this 10th round to either keep themselves out of match point or to put themselves into it. And also, I would like to just point out that Malusi was the player that was switched out of from the Bandit. I remembered because you made a really good talking point about Malusi, and then when you were talking again, it clicked in the back of my memory. I thought I wanted to say that.
Voice. You just remember my voice. It's like,
I do.
I make one
it's very
consonant
nice.
syllable noise, and then you're just like, oh my goodness, I remembered. My oven is still on, and you're just like,
you know, the one thing I can't remember though is my daughter's name.
All right, that is an inside joke that like nobody else is really going to get. It's a really funny one, but nobody else is going to get that. All right,
You're welcome. Now you can feel
it is a
special
good
again.
one. Oh, thank you. I listen.
You're
I feel
welcome.
special every single day. Don't worry. I always hang out with you guys here in the NECC. I always feel special. But a 5v5 in a minute has been bought so far, but CMU have managed to not lose a single player since, and we're once again seeing them completely opt out of the Bandit batteries. They're opting out of the MP7. They're opting out of a successive hold on this wall to make it a little bit harder for Oswego to push inside, but instead they're bringing out castle barricades. They're trying to slow it down. I know that they had this previously, but they're trying to slow it down even more than they were prior. They're putting a lot of focus on this attic side. I don't know if it's going to be enough to necessarily deny, because they can just punch those out. They can just whip out, press V, knife it, punch it, whatever they need to do. Gone 6 it apparently, and make their way a little bit more swiftly towards the objective.
The best bet now for CMU2, just reinforce that back wall before things get really dicey. But Swolverine is going to double down, actually, and keep holding off Attic for the time being. He's a little bit decisive, though. He's not entirely sure, or undecisive, my mistake, and he'll eventually back off. But having that wall still unreinforced is not a good idea. Swolverine should try to at least reinforce that wall at the very least. They still have one in their back pocket, but at least they're able to find that opening pick onto Spicy Fish. Another pick comes out, as a matter of fact, but Swolverine will not follow up on that trend. It'll be Danky to eliminate Swolverine. Now a 3-on-4, and because that wall is currently unreinforced, it's easy pickings for Danky. He finds a second for himself, and now the B bomb site is just for the taking. You still have players in the back, though, like Pepperoni. He could really come into play in these last couple of moments where no one's checking their corners or any cameras that are left for the dead players to be watching, but it appears that there will at least be the Habana of complexity to look out for it. But if he loses this gunfight, this could be all over for Oswego. He will not, though. There goes Pepperoni, your one and only chance of recovering this round win. Now a 2-on-2, as this attic push is still into effect, but they don't have the intel to work off it. Silver Fox picks up 1, and King Crimson wraps it up on the Blobfish. CMU2 finally see some success on this top floor bomb site and bring us to the 11th round. No match point to be had just yet.
Still anyone's game, neck and neck, back and forth action. No resurgence, no comeback, no, I guess, big return, no big reveal. It's just consistently one side or the other, and they have been just trading out who favors every single time. But now we're heading back down to the basement, and Oswego have struggled on this. We watched them fail previously as they had stepped in E-Box at the end. I mean, it was a, 1v4 at a point in time, as we had seen Silver Fox, if I remember correctly, just absolutely pop off and just kill everyone over by Pillar. I mean, it becomes a raid boss, like I talked about, and that's someone to fear, and I guess that fear is kind of going to be prevalent again. You're back to an objective that you got thrashed on, so you might have a little bit of PTSD, a post-traumatic, thrashing disorder, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I would have some post-traumatic Silver Fox.
Yes, yes, you caught on to it too. Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I was like,
absolutely.
I can make it better. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's scary. That's a scary person to have to face off against. Omaya is a phenomenal weapon in hand. They've got great utility. The pancakes, which can yoink out of midair. Those magnets, there's so much utility and usage behind CMU's plan. The only thing I don't like is reinforcing elbow.
Another issue, though, the fact that CMU2 can get away with that, because look again, Oswego, There's no Maverick, not even a Twitch, nothing at all, or even a Cali. I mean, Cali's horrible on this bomb site, but you could bring her if you wanted to. They're not bringing any of those operators, so again, that complacency that you and I always mention, because it's a really good talking point. There isn't much Oswego can really do, especially if they want to push in from that blue bunker area, and ooh, that is not a good start so far for Oswego. A spawn peak comes out, it'll injure Spicy Fish, but at least he gets away with his life for the time being, but now he'll be on incredibly low HP. But what I was talking about earlier is now Oswego have to completely change the way they want to attack on this bomb site, but on the bright side, looks like they're doing just that because they're moving in from laundry from what it appears to be 4 players stacked up inside of a garage. They might just completely rush this one out, and it could possibly catch CMU2 off guard, but they have plenty of great gadgets to deny that possible rush, like the EDDs, for example, or even the Vulcan shields that are placed right at the bottom part of that laundry area.
I'm liking the idea of the smokes. I mean, you've got 2, 4, 6 smokes total. You've got the, smoke bolts in the hands of Spicy Fish, and you can cut off sight lines. You can make it really difficult to go through. You've got 2 smokes in the pockets of Danky and Complexity, respectively, and that's just sight lines. And like you said, if they go down for a quick rush and maybe catch CMU2 off guard, then, whatever works for them, and I say good for them. If they can find a way to get Diffuser down and not be forced into a vacuum like they were previously on this objective, then they'll be able to find success. And right now, there's so many people on this first floor still clearing, and Pepperoni's here as well. They need to be able to get Pepperoni killed off to make it a 5v4 on the floor below, but really and truly, it's only going to be a 4 1/4 v4 because Spicy Fish has taken a lot of damage, already been downed, basically guaranteed kill if they can just connect a few shots to substantiate themselves going forward. But Pepperoni, the longest roaming prowl I have witnessed in a long time, as they came all the way from dining, all the way through small tower, all the way through wide stairs, and now onto the second floor, I should say.
I honestly have no clue what he's going for. He'll get into one gun engagement with Blobfish. They both trade blows, but no one is claiming the victor. So still at 5-on-5. Oswego, they don't have a lot of time to work with, but they're trying their best. They're burning through some utility. King Crimson, though, picks up the opening frag, and we're down to 30 seconds, Scott. This might not be winnable for Oswego, but they'll still try their hardest. They go in for the smokes. Omega Wolf picks up one, and now a second. There goes J-Boss and Blobfish. We're now down to just 2 players, and it's just far too much manpower in the middle of sight. A flawless round for CMU2. There will be no wins coming out for Oswego just yet, and now we go to match point, surprisingly favoring CMU2.
Surprising to say the least. A lot of people did not anticipate CMU would make it this far, and I don't necessarily just mean that in the sense of, against Oswego. I genuinely feel that with the way that CMU have been playing so far. They were 6th seed coming into this. They did fight their way through, and they did have to face off against the UC Davis 2 squad, and they won that, and they 2-1. It was another hard-fought battle that had to go to the 3rd map. Could that be what happens here as well? Could we see the 2nd-seeded Oswego fall to the 6th-seeded CMU2? I think it's a big possibility. If CMU can continue to show this level of prowess for those flawless rounds we have seen, and replicate that on Villa, then it could honestly go in their favor, and we could see a finals match for the ages inside of this Challengers division. But they're going to need to get over the hurdle that is Oswego. We could go right back to an overtime situation, and we could see another play where we have to have Oswego find 2 wins back-to-back. It could just be a total shutdown once they win. They could just win the next 3 all in a row and just be done with it, or CMU can buckle up and find this successive victory.
At least we know that this is a great showing for CMU2. This is probably their favorite, if not one of their favorite maps to go to from the likes of it, because I bet CMU is the exact same way. But anyways, we get to go to Dining Room and Kitchen, one of your favorite sites to go to on Oregon. And I don't blame you, because there's a lot of great things you can do. One in particular, extending into showers. Now, when you're trying to get map control in towards Dining Room, the fact that showers is now an option for CMU2, it makes it really difficult for Oswego to actually do that, because you have Maestro sitting in there. He's got Lamaidis to work with. He's got castle barricades, hard walls being reinforced next to him as well. It's so much utility in one area similar to Blue Bunker that it's very difficult for players on the side of Oswego to really deny it, especially when there's only one set of frag grenades, and that's on Spicy Fish, who will most likely be playing up above for the time being. So if CMU2 is able to hold off that part of the map for the most part, then it's going to come down to a kitchen-sided push. Now, that is a big problem when defending this particular bomb site, but as long as CMU2 can hold the fort quite well, it shouldn't overall be that difficult for them to win it for the time being. But one big problem, no one up above to defend this vertical play, so Spicy Fish will get a very quick head start on this bird's eye view with that sledgehammer.
You can clear out the floor, make sightlines difficult for CMU. We know this is where they succumbed to on that reading room hold on the last map of Cafe, and now they're kind of falling for the same thing. They're turtling up a little bit too much. We do know they like to roam a little bit more when it comes to this map, but is it enough to make it, I guess, impossible for Oswego to stay safe? But I'm just not seeing any off-site presence when it comes to this second floor. I'm not seeing any off-site presence in a wide area besides this western side of the map. I don't see any players on this eastern side. We're seeing they have EDDs, these Capcan mines on the opposing side. We're seeing they're placing them in positions that may be able to catch a player off guard, but it doesn't seem to matter. Danky finding a kill into Swolverine, Silver Fox on the refrag right back. But a 4v4 and Track Stinkers making this security hallway a little bit treacherous to try and pass through. And J-Boss has an angle as well. If they step out towards those showers doors, it could be difficult. But I think there was a player actually on white stairs leading down to Freezer Steps. Right next door, J-Boss could get caught off guard, but a nade connects some Spicy Fish. King Crimson decrowned, and J-Boss finds Pepperoni. Now Spicy Fish onto the objective, just trying to make sure they have nothing to come at them in this range. And Complexity will now be able to step forward, get a possible plant to go down, sprayed and prayed. And Blobfish and Spicy Fish, the fish duo, will find themselves a nice round victory. And this is going to overtime.
Well, both players fighting tooth and nail on Oregon, and I mean, like you said, we're going to overtime now, so completely up in the air as to who's going to win this one out. But CMU2 have a really good advantage against Oswego in terms of that they're defending first, so they have the luxury to lose a round here and there and then go on the better side of Oregon. That could be the only reason why Oswego loses this, and CMU2 is going to waste no time. They're going to go their best site that they've played on, Laundry and Supply, where Oswego have not won a single time when attacking it. And again, they're still making the same exact mistakes they were the first time attacking it, and now possibly the last time they attack it. No Maverick on the board, so now they can't go in through Blue Bunker. We might just see them have to 5-man rush into Laundry Room, which even with the Capital and all the smoke grenades they had, it didn't even work out for them. So this might already be a free round win for CMU2.
Now, I distinctly remember seeing that one of the players, and I actually think it was one of the Oswego players, stating that they like the stream because they like to go back with the project view. Which does mean, fellow here, that, and I was also told this the other day, just like the greatest compliment the caster can hear is the players will listen back and actually watch it with the audio on. And if they do, absolutely you should, because there's a lot of good points to be had here. And while this may be the ending, or may lead to the finals of the NECC for this season, you can always return, and you always have more player time to continue to progress as a player and individually and as a team, of course. Please, if you're Oswego, please bring Maverick. You need a hard breach to go through. You did not properly pick up the ability to step inside. You banned Kaid, which means Maverick was left unbanned, which is an interesting decision as well, by the way. A lot of teams will ban Maverick if they know they're going to ban Kaid. You need to be able to breach through bunker. You're not getting crossfires. You're not getting set up. If you're going to play pillar, put 2 players pillar, and then put maybe 3 to laundry. Put yourself in a crossfire position. You're not doing that, and you're getting punished because of that. CMU barely have to lift a finger to make you hurt because you're just walking in a straight line into their crossfire. They could just sit pretty and do nothing on the site and just wait for you to literally walk into their crosshairs.
It's not like they could do that. CMU2 has been doing that. There's always been a player in pillar just waiting for someone to walk down big tower, and it's worked every single time. Maybe not this time, but King Crimson is pretty aware someone's going to peek him eventually. He's just sitting there like a hawk up above on a tree waiting for just a mole rat to hop down so we can just sweep right on into him. So It's only a matter of time, Scott. He's really answering up for it. Concussive blast by that lifeline will push him back along with Silver Fox, but it's not that big of a concern. It's a minute 20 left on the clock, and Oswego has not done anything but just sit on that big tower stairwell, and even then, they'll still lose that gunfight. King Crimson gets rid of Danky from the equation. Now a 5-on-4, and he's still just sitting there. No one's here to contest him. This is heavily favoring CMU2. Amazing shot by King Crimson, but sadly, he won't pick up the kill. Instead, it'll be Complexity onto Silver Fox. Now a 4-on-4, but we're down to the last minute of the round, and this does not look all that good for Oswego up until now. Blobfish with 2 impactful frags. Now a 4-on-2 favoring Oswego, but there's still plenty of utility to deny this push. Huge EDD by Omega Wolf from the grave gets rid of Spicy Fish, and now things are looking slightly better in these last 30 seconds of the round.
Time not on the side right now of either CMU or Oswego. It's really just ticking against both. Team, you only have 2 players to deny a player with a Vector. Swolverine looking for maybe a chance, just narrowly missing the head of Blobfish to be able to see it out as Blobfish will spray to try and stay safe, but Pepperoni has been forced into laundry room, and a plant will go down inside of Defaults. A Nitro is in the hands of Swolverine, but they won't be able to rip it and dip it. A player hitting behind. Blobfish finds themselves a 3K, and it's up to Swolverine with the Vector in hand. Can't turn to find it, and J-Boss will find it instead. And Oswego find a round 13 success. They'll need to find it once again on the defense to make it a quick 2-0 and out on the overtime. But we know they can win it on attack. So even if they fail on this next defense, they'll have one more shot at it right after that.
I'm going to say it. Blobfish was the sole reason why Oswego won that round, because
Absolutely.
if he didn't find those 2 kills from just hopping down the hatch, then it would have been over. No doubt about it. King Crimson was not contested at all from Big Tower Stairs. He won his first gunfight and almost a second in a blue bunker. They couldn't flush him out at all. He was just so comfortable in that back area. Up until Blobfish just hopped down the hatch, they didn't hear him over the gunfire, and he just walked right in front of him and got 2 of the easiest kills of his entire career, and that allowed for the rest of his team to back him up inside of sight. They got the plant down and had every single angle on the lock. They couldn't, or pardon, CMU couldn't do a thing about it, and that's why they lost the round. So now, Oswego has a huge upper hand moving forward. They're on match point favoring them, and they're going probably the best bomb site, which is kids and dormitory, and their lineup is also pretty dandy as well. The only thing that's a concern is that both of these teams have won this site both occasions pretty substantially. Both of them about a 50-50, give or take statistically. So this could still favor CMU2 if Oswego doesn't play their cards right, but you know, it is a coin flip, so I don't want to predict anything just yet.
Yeah, all right, so here's what I'm going to say. You're right. So here's my guidance for CMU and for Oswego again. Obviously, E-Box. That's the big thing. Blobfish stepping up, finding the 2 most impactful frags of this game by far, and winning the round. Oswego, you didn't need to do that. You had E-Box. You had to drop down it to do it. You have the ability to deny any of that hard breach now on that wall connecting into bunker. Just bring a hard breach into bunker after clearing that. Just clear that wall. And then you have a sightline to pillar, and you've cleared pillar. You don't even need the kill to clear pillar from hatch. You can only see maybe toes. You don't get a shot. You're not going to get a kill from that in the drop. It's going to be who gets the shot off first, and thankfully, King Crimson was paying too much attention to the stairwell and too much attention to that blue bunker doorway and wasn't watching E-Box, and so they paid the price accordingly. And then CMU, don't hold pillar that way. I mean, put a shield up, put a Vulcan shield. You were bringing that out, just bring a normal shield as well. There are operators that have those. You see Spicy Fish with one right here. If you bring a toxic babe wielding smoke, then you have the ability to stop a default plant and a shield to place. There's so much more utility available with just a slightly different operator lineup and a slightly different placement.
Right now, CMU2, they've got the attic wall open up, but no utility to burn through those ADS to get that shield destroyed. So at the time, Spicy Fish can just sit there all relaxed and comfortable, and there's nothing that CMU2 can really do about it for the time being. Another phone call coming out, no more logic bombs for Dokkaebi to use up. Omega Wolf having no more utility except for those stun grenades to burn through ADSs. But right now, he'll burn through the body of Danke. There he goes down the drain, but Complexity will get a trade on the King Crimson. Now a 4-on-4. Carrier down in the floor, right underneath Classroom. Blobfish has an angle right now, but he's all on his own in this 1v4 as everyone on the side of CMU2 picks up the pace. A big round to be had now for the best player on the side of Oswego. That's going to be Blobfish with the plant down as well in this 1v4. We might see double overtime as this looks to be a very impossible position for Blobfish, but there is still a slight chance. He's got 30 seconds to work with. Not the worst position, but he's got to find so many kills. He gets lit up by Pepperoni with that Maverick kill hole and is not able to connect his shots just yet. Now down to 20 seconds. That time getting ever so closely to 0. 2 amazing kills by Blobfish, but it might not be enough. He's still going to find 2 more, and Omega Wolf denies the clutch. CMU2 take the 14th round with flying colors, and now we go 7-7.
Omega Wolf, Omega Lol says, nah, you may find 2, but you're not finding 2 more. A great way to finish that one off. You really liked that one, didn't you? A great way to finish that one off. And like you said, 7-7. We're going into the penultimate match point over time because it is not infinite. Though that is an interesting way to do it, but it just doesn't really make sense for a best of 3. But we're going back to the basement here. CMU, we're going to try and find something else. And if anybody is I guess, listening in from CMU, you'll have the opportunity, if you win this, to maybe change it up if you pick Borgen once again, right? But I don't think it bodes well, because Oswego, this wasn't their map pick, and yet they've tied it up. So I think that maybe Villa is just kind of a leftover map. It still could go either way, but I actually think Oswego probably has a better chance on it. CMU may just be clutching at straws to find one beforehand, but they might not even make it to it if Oswego can just continue to get that success. But take a look on the left side of our screen here, fellow. Still not a Maverick, not a single person with the ability to clear that out besides an IQ. And while that will work to a certain degree, it's not a guaranteed victory. Hopefully they can clear out this bunker wall, though.
Yeah, So the issue with Laundry and Supply is that you can do literally no soft destruction. So IQ should just be thrown out the window. I mean, she's great for intel, but you don't like need her for when attacking this bomb site. So just switch her out for the Maverick or just something among those lines, because everyone else right now is great. The Ash, fantastic, great for utility clearage. Same goes for J-Boss. They're literally the exact same two operators, for Christ's sake. And then Danke is your last resort for flank denial because Nomad was banned by CMU2. So right now, the Blobfish of IQ, it's just, that's the one thing you don't need. That is the loose screw in your woodworking project. And another loose screw that gets completely ripped out is Pepperoni, as Danke, who gets eliminated by Pepperoni. My mistake. I'm in full rant mode right now. That's why I make so many mistakes. But still, an amazing entry, which might lead to the domino effect of CMU2 overall winning out this round, especially since they can now go on a pretty seamless flank. The only thing that's stopping them is a possible Claymore in the hands of Spicy Fish.
Yeah, you get a little bit too aggressive, maybe place a Claymore down and try to get that one going, but Spicy Fish has not done that. You have no roam clear now. You've lost that out. Danke didn't do a good enough job in placing that, didn't gain that safety net, and now it looks like CMU has managed to place themselves back down to the basement in a position that they feel safe within. They've turtled up. They now have their home, and you have the job of destabilizing that. You have to huff, and you have to puff, and you have to blow their house down. But if you take a look, it's a basement. That is basically a storm shelter. You are not going to be able to huff and puff and pray that you're going to be able to find it. You have to show that you belong here in this matchup. And right now, with only 1 minute and 20 seconds left, Oswego has so much they have to do to make CMU have a run for their money that I don't necessarily know if they're immensely capable of doing so. Blobfish looking for an opportunity. They're going to go for 2 reaching charges on the same hatch. An interesting play. And now you're going to see J-Boss looking for an opportunity to clear out shield. And they'll concuss it out both twice. Now getting the Vulcan shield removed. But with only 55 seconds now on the clock, CMU2 have bought so much time for themselves, and Oswego have done nothing to try and push in besides removing a Vulcan shield, and now they're rotating away a different direction. They're now pushing Freezer, maybe a split push to come through, I don't know, but they have to find something because time is running short.
It appears that no one really knows. Oswego doesn't even know for all that they could care about. And we're down to the last half a minute. This is going to be the most important half a minute of Oswego's life, because if they lose this, then they're not guaranteed this win. Spicy Fish missing out on 1 kill, but Blobfish will not make the same mistake. Now down to 20 seconds, and things are going to get hectic as gunfights will happen in basically instances. Omega Wolf right around the corner, almost picks up 1. Pepperoni gets 2. Kills going out left and right. Blobfish now to 1v3. He gets 1, but there's only 5 seconds left, and he goes for the plant out in the open. It's all over now, as Silver Fox will win that gunfight, a freebie if you want to call it that, and CMU2 bring us to map number 3 narrowly in an 8-7 victory on Oregon.
You could have just walked 3 feet to the right and planted that.
Yeah, never plant out in the open. It's just no, just don't do it, okay? Because it's down to 5 seconds. I get it. You're really worried, but if you're gonna go for the plant and not the kill, at least plant in a good position. That way you have a chance of defending it off. Because let's say you actually were able to have it stuck, then you can kill the player, come in closet, rotate, and then it's a 1v1. You can actually win that in close quarters with a G8, but sadly that didn't happen. So because of that amazing and hard-fought victory coming out by CMU2, we'll go to map 3, which is Villa. Another very defender-favored map, but like you said, this might overall favor Oswego because it wasn't a direct pick by CMU2. It was a decider map. It was the runt of the litter, the scraps of that map ban.
Absolutely. And while we are, prepping to get into the next map, we'll take a short 5-minute break to go over a couple little things. We may go a little bit over that, but we'll see how it pans out. But Villa will be the decider between this penultimate matchup here in the semifinals to decide who will make it all the way to fight for this Challengers Division, if I remember correctly. Challengers Division matchup. Stay tuned. We'll catch you guys on map 3.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head.
Welcome back, everybody, to the NECC, and we've got a spectacular matchup here for the Rainbow6 Semifinals. Oswego versus CMU2. Their secondary squad, Central Methodist, is playing a little bit out of their element right now. They managed to take their own map on Oregon, the Borgen Classic. A little, maybe not exactly Borgen in that stage, as it did go all the way through overtime, and they did have to clutch it up in a defensive round after being trounced in the last one they had on that same objective. But nonetheless, my name is Infernosis, joined here by Fellow, and we have Map 3 Villa to be heading to. Can Oswego put this one away, or will CMU complete the dynamic duo comeback to make themselves the contenders to face off in the finals?
I mean, a lot of questions to be had, of course. We did manage to see CMU2 come back eventually, 8-7, a hard-fought victory. But the other map that we have to go off for statistics is Cafe, and that was almost a clean sweep by Oswego. It was 7-3. So if we have Villa play out much more like Cafe, which normally it does, then we might not see the upset come out, and Oswego might just reign superior in this best of 3. It just takes them a third map, not 2. So, it all comes down to that possibly. But if there's still plenty of fight left in CMU2, then we'll have the upset, of course. But moving into the actual map now, we can see the bands go along just a couple seconds. I'm assuming we will see a lot of really standard ops being taken off of the picture here. Thatcher has been banned both times now, and I'm gonna strongly assume it'll be for a third time in a row as well.
But Thatcher or Ejacular or Nomad? That's what I'm thinking here. Because Nomad's actually a good ban on this map. Nomad actually fits here. Jackal can fit in if you are strange. Yeah, I can see it as a fit, but it's a toss-up. It is Oswego that is going for the ban, so maybe they'll have a conscience and not make me look like an idiot. Ban to come through is going to be Jackal. So, I was correct. I did label that it could be Jackal as well. They liked this and preferred this. I actually believed they did ban this on map 1, and now they're going to have the opportunity to bring it out again. Now, the defensive ban. This one's going to be another replacement. I think a Malusi could be a very positive one. We could see the Maestro once again, as this was banned once again on that first map of Cafe Dostoyevsky, the worst map ever made. But instead, the other annoying player, the other defensive route that is needing to be unkempt, I guess? Maybe needing some root care? What's the term for that?
Just being pulled out from the soil, I guess. That's a
yeah.
good way to put it. But you're correct about Jackal being banned map number 1, and wow, that's a direct pick. That's just straight up, no, we're not dealing with the exact same shenanigans by Blobfish. So there goes Legion. Okay, he was a bit of an issue on map number 2, so I don't blame CMU2 for getting rid of him, but they could have went for something a little bit better. Maybe a Maestro, like you and I were hinting at. A Cade could have worked. He's really good on this map as well. I don't know, anything but the Legion, but okay, whatever makes you more comfortable, I suppose. So that's going to be our ban list for this evening. All right, I guess I'm writing that down in my notes.
Yeah, we might need to have that one written down a couple of times, because there's absolutely no way I'm remembering that a Legion's being banned. Of course, I don't even think I would bring up Legion when it comes to this map, though. Legion isn't really that popular, I don't think, in terms of this map, because Legion is kind of viewed as a mixture of a roam operator, an intel operator, and an anchor. They can fulfill all roles. They can do absolutely everything. Legion has the ability to toss down a goo mine and play the audio cue to give the information, and then either act on it by attempting to go for the kill or taking a step away. And I know for a fact that Blobfish kind of preferred to go for the kill. They tended to wait for the audio cue and then to swiftly strike like that Viper we had talked about. And they really went in on that, and they went and worked their best. But with that being taken out, I guess it's a toss-up on the defense. Like, what do you bring instead? Maverick's allowed. Maestro's allowed. So you got an attacking hard breacher that you still haven't brought to the table, and I don't like you for it. And then Maestro is brought to the table. So Silver Fox making the correct decision.
Now, you don't really need a Maverick when going into Aviator as an attack, but it's nice, mostly because you have those grenades to work with, and you can make a couple of kill holes, whether that be inside of hunting or just on one of the 2 main walls in towards study. So I would agree, a little bit off to not have him, but it's not really gonna, it's not gonna bring a rain to the parade of Oswego. They can still go underneath with that vertical play, the soft destruction of either J-Boss or Spicy Fitch to get rid of those Kaid claws or the IQ, because with her scanner, it'll be pretty easy to spot it out, as it is one of those gadgets that can be caught on her own. So it's not really that big of a concern. And especially when Capcom's on the board, I think the IQ pick is kind of necessary in this position. So I guess it's a fair trade, but it does still suck that Oswego now doesn't have any grenades to play with, which could have guaranteed them a couple of free kills, especially if they go underneath and have them detonate at just the right instance.
Interesting position right there for that gadget. Not able to be hidden out because of the metal flooring that's there, which actually makes it so that they're unable to clear it out, which is interesting to say the least. I think that's not entirely what I was anticipating. So having an IQ, once again, weird, strange. It just makes a little bit of sense for this map in terms of it's a vast wideness for it, but you need to focus a little bit more on roam clear. But they'll focus a little bit more on site clear. King Crimson taking the player being taken out from behind the pool table. That'll be connected from Danky, and Spicy Fish finds their own onto Pepperoni. And now a 5v3. It's Silver Fox, Omega Wolf, and Swolverine. This coincidental animal trio here now looking to try and save the day. And I think they're going to need to be saved themselves. This looks like a moment where PETA might be able to rear their faces through, and it might be assist, but as of the current moment, with only a minute left in Oswego with 5 men still on the table, going to be a difficult task for them.
Plenty of time for Oswego to work with, but it's gonna be close, that's for sure. Omega Wolf trying to make things even closer. He picks up one on the Danky, almost a second, but J-Boss will narrowly evade death against Swolverine. Nice shot onto that Kaid player. Now 4-on-2. Oswego having a great lead, and they can, if they want to, get inside of Barroom and go for that default plant, even though that back wall is not destroyed open by a Selma device. It doesn't really matter, though. All the players on CMU are spread out quite thin, one in hunting and the other one near the couch area inside of Aviator. But now they're both stacked up in the back of hunting, trying to deny this double doorway push out. But J-Boss wins his ones against Omega Wolf, and now Silver Fox is at a 1v4, picks up one, but can he get the second? He'll do just that. Can't deny the plant though. Blobfish around the corner will deny the clutch one time now, and Oswego take the first round narrowly in that 2v1.
What a great way to look at it as well. They looked phenomenal trying to keep that pace. The only thing that really looked bad was seeing the Alda just spray down a line and find two lined up. Nothing you can do about it, honestly, at that point in time. It's just take the L. You're going to get sprayed down. You're going to be felled by the Alda. You're going to be felled by the Meatball Man with a giant LMG. And that's exactly what happened. But you have a player on the flank. You got a player planting the diffuser, the lunchbox down behind bar so that your bartender can get a little bit peckish and have himself a snack. But ultimately, Oswego looking spectacular on round one, setting themselves up nicely. But CMU2 are going to go right back to Aviator in games. And they're not going to really change anything if I take a look here. They're going to take off of the Vigil and change it for the Bandit, which they've been doing continuously. But I don't think that's I don't think that's enough. I know that the side of Oswego doesn't bring much denial, but they have an IQ. That's enough denial against a Bandit battery to warrant not bringing it.
It's a good start, but I agree with you. It could be so much better than what it is right now, because the fact that Blobfish is on the IQ, he can confidently get open all of the walls and break all the electric items that deny him from normally doing that, or at least deny complexity from normally doing that, except for that one really intricate Electroclaw spot that we did see Swolverine perform to counteract that IQ destruction. But yeah, but
on purpose.
I mean, I don't know. We'll just say
It
it
could
was
be.
on
If it
purpose.
actually prompts it,
I think
I
so.
don't think it was.
He probably saw it on Jaeger himself or something, just something
Yeah,
cool.
I
It isn't
mean,
recommended. I mean,
If that's a
I've seen
real
plenty of
thing,
stuff.
then full props to the couch. Full props to the couch.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's still a great position, but the problem with that spot being is that you normally don't need that main wall opened up unless you want to just cut off sight lines. You don't need it to get into the bomb site, because the default plant spot when attacking planes in games is the bar room. You go in the back of the bar and get that plant down instead, and just try to flush out the players inside of Aviator. That's really it. So if you don't get that back wall from the deep angle to study opened up, it's not really the end of the world. You can still win the round as long as you just win your gunfights and get that plant down. And that's exactly what Oswego did. They picked off the roamers, got control of Bar, and went for the plant, even though that back wall wasn't opened up. And they just had an overwhelming presence in the bomb site. So although Silver Fox had a 2K, it wasn't enough for his team to win the round. And we could possibly see the exact same thing come into fruition because all of the cards are lining up in just a specific way, or the stars, not cards, but still Oswego in the same position they were last round.
And looking pretty. I mean, they've got themselves in a position where they can. What?
Yeah.
What did you say?
Go on. It's okay. I'm sorry.
I really didn't hear you, but I'll tell you what they did here. The shot heard round the map. Spicy Fish out for the count as Pepperoni will collect. And they weren't able to find impact last map, maybe because of their original choice of Vigil and be taken out early, but this time they'll be able to find it with an MP7, a little bit more success to their name. But is it going to be enough? Oswego, they managed to finish this one off in a spectacular fashion. They're going to clear out some of these ADSs and burn them out towards Aviation side, flashing out, hoping to blind the retinas of the opposing CMU players. With only a minute left on the clock, they have to watch out for these IQ gadgets to be able to clear these out. You know, just scan straight through to find these electronics and deny them in the process. And the cap cans, these EDDs are continuously being such a nuisance. But Blobfish has eyesights on, can pay attention to a lot of these positions, can give information. You want your shot caller to typically be that player, and that might just be what we're seeing. I don't actually know whether or not Blobfish is the in-game shot caller. It might be a question to bring forward in the process, but they're going to take a crossfire, crossing across. Complexity taking a look at damage in the process, now clearing outside Vault Room, but Silver Fox clears out Danky. And now it's a 3v5, but they've cleared Vault for themselves. J-Boss axe onto Omega Wolf, completes the kill. And now a 3v3 as they clean up for a double. They'll step forward now. Players behind Bar. Complexity finds King Crimson a 3v2 and play as J-Boss looks to make it the trifecta. It'll be Complexity to clean up another and finds yet another. Oh my goodness, I believe the 3K to finish that one off. J-Boss and Complexity just carrying their team right now into a massive victory in that round 2.
Just bulldozing over CMU2's defensive hold. A second round win in a row for Oswego. Amazing recovery in that 5-on-3. It all came down just to J-Boss and Complexity just winning the most important gunfights on that round in the last couple moments of it as well, might I add. So great way to just remain cool, calm, and collective underneath all that pressure. And finally, we're not going to see Aviator played by CMU2. They'll learn from their past mistakes and try to make lemons out of lemonade. They're going to trophy instead. A very different lineup as well. Most likely going to see them extend on out in towards that closet area, which, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of anymore. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a great way of burning. Yeah, don't mind the lisp. Don't mind it, okay? I'm sorry, but it's still really funny. I don't mind the closet extension because it burns through a lot of utility, but also we can just ignore it. They've been ignoring a lot of problems that would normally be concerning for them, but they just haven't really had to bother, which is why they've done such a great job of winning these past couple of rounds. So I don't see what's stopping them on this third one either, to be honest.
I mean, different objective, right?
I mean, maybe. That's a good point.
This is a very different objective than the previous two we've seen.
That is true, yes.
This one, honestly, is still easier, though, for an IQ to take advantage of. The only thing you have to worry about is that main skylight hallway that you have to cross through. And quite honestly, as long as you head your way through Mimo and you head your way through Dining down below, then Blobfish can find the information as the IQ and continue to remove out those gadgets on the opposing side. And there's quite a few to worry about. Instead of bringing a Kaid, they're bringing a bandit, they're bringing a mute. So they're going to rely on a mute jammer as the way to do that instead. They've got Surya Gates. Maybe they hold a soft wall and they do the Surya Gate trick. They've got castle barricades that I think we just saw one actually placed on the window inside of Master Bedroom. And there's a second one there as well. Maybe even walk-in closet. They really just want to slow down this push as substantially as possible to stop Oswego from just trouncing over them. And that's exactly what you need to see. When basically Castle Barricade V2, except it's, you know, see-through. So Electric Boogaloo see-through on that side. It's going to be on that doorway leading into statuary for Master Bedroom, which will allow for the defense of CMU to peek through and take pot shots if Oswego manage to get caught off guard.
So the lineup that CMU2 has brought, it's meant for them to extend, but we're not really seeing a lot of extension. They're just kind of throwing utility at Oswego and hoping for the best. And right now, a lot of it's been burned out, whether it be through stun grenades catching the Wamai frisbees or IQ just going underneath and looking on her cell phone to go shoot down mute jammers. Doesn't really matter. Either way, working out great for Oswego. They have the main wall opened up. They can go for that default plant now for a third time almost, and everyone's still alive and well. Now, the exact same thing can be said for CMU2, and they're eventually going to find the entry. There goes Danky off the board. No more air jabs, and another kill comes out. There goes Spicy Fish, injured, but not confirmed just yet. Maybe he'll get revived, but only time will tell. Lifeline Shock will actually concuss J-Boss and the player up above, but Omega will still find that kill. Now a 5-on-2, and there isn't really much that Oswego can do in this position. They are just sitting ducks in both the Astro window and Master Bedroom, but on the bright side, Complexity will get a revive on the Spicy Fish. Now back to a 3-on-5, but it's still a huge task to accomplish for Oswego if they want to win this third round against CMU's defensive hold.
I think I'm seeing a phenomenal job by CMU to use those holes against them. They may have created them, Oswego may have created them, but they're being punished for having them. Pepperoni punishing Spicy Fish. Complexity finding one constellation kill, but that's really all it is, because Pepperoni and Swolverine will finish that one off in a spectacular fashion. A near-flawless victory, stopped just short of that big flawless stat sheet because of Complexity, who is a little bit too complex for all of it. But I think the biggest thing to keep in mind when you're talking about Oswego and them getting punished, walked over, denied, destroyed, decimated, eviscerated. I mean, any word you can think of for losing a round pretty darn badly. It's going to be the fact that they're doing a good job of opening sightlines, but they have to realize the top floor has the advantage. Being on top of a sightline hole, you have the advantage. Your sightline of seeing an enemy is going to be 85% their forehead and 20% the body. And yes, there's an extra 5% because my brain is just too dummy thick to be contained within my skull. But in the end, they have the advantage. You can't rely on those peaks. It's nice. You can use it as a way to clear out a space and force them out from behind desk inside of Astronomy, but you can't use it as a way to get a kill. It's just not accurate. It's just not going to be the way you do. And instead, they take pot shots at it from you. They find angles at which to shoot back. Any and all of these that you're creating aren't working for you, and Oswego is going to get punished off of their own attempts.
Yeah, that's the big problem with making any type of hole, hard destruction, soft destruction with vertical play, etc., is they go both ways. They can be used for you or against you, so you always got to be careful about that happening, because that's what we just witnessed against Oswego. But we're now heading back to a completely different bomb site, Aviator in Games, and this statistically has not been a good site for CMU2, but they have a completely new lineup. They don't have a Bandit or a Capcan, or even a Vigil at that. They have the Wamai Jaeger combination, along with an Aruni and Malusi with the Kaid as well on the board. So this is so much more utility, and when they brought a similar lineup to this, except there's no castle on the board, it was very difficult for Oswego to get their footing in the right spot because they were just so overwhelmed with all of the different types of gadgets they had to burn through with their own. So we could have this end up favoring CMU2, especially since with that IQ on the board, she can't really deny many of these gadgets from underneath, except for those Kaid Electro Claws, but she hasn't even done the best job of doing that from our past observations from her.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, from what I'm seeing right now from CMU, one of the biggest things is the fact that we didn't see the Nomad ban, right? It was kind of a necessity. You're kind of forced to ban the Thatcher, right? You're kind of forced to have that. Right. And then when the second ban comes through and Jackal comes, it is a way to deny it, but CMU is super reluctant to head off-site in a lot of these positions, and it's for good reason. It's because you have the ability to deny that with an air jab, but with a bit of a problem coming through, Spicy Fish will be felled out first, and now it's a 4v5, but with time working against you as an attacker, and you have a player disadvantage, and Blobfish has been damaged down to below 25 HP, CMU have themselves in a position where they can not just guarantee success, but they only need to hold in a more substantial manner to actually have a good shot at winning the next few rounds.
Yeah, Oswego has not been able to bring that man advantage back in their favor. A 5-on-4 for CMU2, and here's where the utility comes into play. Now Oswego has very little options to work with now. They are basically funneling into the bomb site, which is never a good thing to do when you're on the attacking side, because then CMU2 can just straight up just shred right through your bodies with a hail of bullets, and your round has now been forfeited to your opposing team. So 30 seconds left, and it's still very quiet for Oswego. They have to make something happen, and Blobfish will begin to light that spark, which could inevitably turn into a flame of victory for Oswego. But even more utility they now have to burn through. Luckily, they have just enough, but Danky far too quick on that push. He'll be brought down to such little HP. Luckily, though, J-Boss is around the corner to help him out. The plant could go down, but they need to pick it back up. Now down to 10 seconds. Omega will from behind denies Danky. Blobfish gets a refrag, but now he's in a 1 versus 2. No coverage for that defuse plant. He's gonna have to stick it though, and there's no time left. CMU2 just have to walk into the bomb site and eliminate him, but no one's checking the back corner. A team kill comes out, but it won't matter. Swoverine not gonna lose his ones against Blobfish, and CMU2, regardless of the team kill and greedy plays on the down player of J-Boss, will win the round and defuse the bomb.
Mission successful.
Whew, that was way too close, man.
What? I mean, like, what did we just watch? Like,
A
it's
close
insane.
call.
Yeah. I mean, the
A
fact
narrow
of the matter
throw.
is, a narrow throw. I mean, what's the phrase in MOBAs? Inting? Something like that? I mean, like,
I don't know. I don't play
it's
those kind
bad.
of games, man.
That was exceedingly close. Way too close for comfort of your CMU. You do tie it back at that 2-2 stat line, but there's only 2 rounds left. Do you continue your spree of success, or do you kind of let it get to you and let Oswego just come through and find the next few? But we're going to be heading out to this dining and kitchen objective. I like to see CMU not opting for the other tertiary objective, which is literally just non-existent, kind of like mining and train is. But we're seeing my favorite objective in almost all of Siege. Almost all of Siege. This is my favorite objective because it's so reminiscent of a classic style. You're used to seeing pulses. You're used to seeing just all these year 1 operators with nitro cells, castles. There's so much you can have. I don't like that we don't see a castle because that's just going to let Oswego just rush in from outside window leading towards wooden staircase down to the basement because there is a window leading inside. But CMU, they can hold this quite well. They just need to make sure they relay information and actually manage to connect with at least one of these nitro cells.
Yeah, I am not a big fan of Capcan because there's probably better options, but he does have a couple of upsides to him, one being the C4 that you mentioned. So now there's 3 overall on the board. But another thing, those EDDs in general, we've seen them work time and time again, and on this site in particular, this is probably his best site where he can really flourish as an operator and really throw Oswego off guard. Now, the main issue being that Blobfish does have a gadget that directly counters Capcan's EDDs, but if he doesn't check every single doorway with that scanner, he could eventually just blow himself up if he just doesn't check things properly. And not everyone on his team has that scanner in their side arm, so maybe it won't be Blobfish that runs into an EDD, maybe it's somebody else, so that can injure someone or weaken them, I should say, and even guarantee a kill for CMU2, which could end up biting Oswego in the rear end moving forward. And Blobfish trying to use his scanner early on to guarantee himself a free kill. It's not going to be the case. He's not lined up incredibly perfectly, but he could end up guaranteeing himself that kill later on, but only time, of course, will tell.
Yeah, time has to tell. And at this point in time, Blobfish can see the player moving. Take a look, 13 meters away. I'm not actually sure they noticed. They seem to just like brain turn off for a moment there, but sitting on the bed does leave you a little bit of safety net. Now looking to shoot those out, not really able to find as much success as you maybe initially want for getting that pulse. But I do think that the option is still there. Finding information, trying to go for the shot, connects with 1 bullet, and Pepperoni will be dropped to about 85. And looking to maybe continue to try to punish, but can't connect. Still looking for an opportunity, but Pepperoni has seemingly wisened up and put away the scanner and just hops right back on it. Pepperoni, he's above you at this point in time inside master bedroom. They're taking shots at you because they have the aerial view. CMU is doing a good job of anchoring on site, but at this point in time, Oswego, who has put zero to none emphasis on this second floor in terms of clearing sightlines and playing from above to take that advantage. Instead, stepping inside a Memo, Spicy Fish finding Silver Fox, a 5v4, Spicy Fish in a bad position, having to be lying down now in this eastern side of the room. Will Spray in the other direction, finding on the Pepperoni for a double kill, and now a 5v3 in play, but King Crimson frags back into Danky. A 4v3, nade tossed out, ripped away by a Magnet, and now it's a 4v3 as Spicy Fish looks to make it a little bit more narrow. Tosses the nade, does little to no damage in the process, and is still trapped inside Mimo, rushed down as J-Boss finds King Crimson, and Omega Wolf finishes off Spicy. A 3v2, and J-Boss will not live to tell the tale. Blobfish downed inside Mimo. Omega Wolf just doing so much damage in the process, and it's just complexity. They'll need so much. Finding one, and now a 1v1. They need to make sure they don't step into an EDD. Omega Wolf has to clutch this one up, and they're running in the process. Let go of the shift key. Complexity just doesn't have time to pull the gun up.
Oh no, running right into his opponent. That's not what you want to have happen. Omega Wolf marketing off of that gigantic blunder, and now CMU2 bring back the advantage in their favor. 3 wins in a row. Now they have guaranteed themselves the advantage. My goodness, what a disastrous endgame performance by Oswego, and they're really going to pay the price with that round loss. Oh my goodness. Everything happening that round just should not have worked for both sides. We saw little to no top floor presence by Oswego. It was just Blobfish up above, and he didn't even kill Pepperoni. And then a minute on the clock, they try to walk underneath in a sight and then almost win because they're just finding trades. That was one of the most confusing rounds I've witnessed in quite a while, but man, was it close.
I mean, like, please, like, can we, all right, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do right now. All right.
What's
One
up?
second. Let me just take this bad boy right here. All right, can we switch to cams real fast, producer?
Oh, no way, we actually. I don't. I mean,
Just
Pat,
switch
would do it.
Yeah,
You know
switch
what?
to cams
We're
real fast.
doing it. We're doing it.
Please take this off. Please just take this off. Take the shift key off your keyboard. Stop pressing it. Unbind it. Take
Oh
the
my
shift key
God.
off your keyboard and
Okay,
just
we're good.
throw it
We're
away.
back.
Just throw it. Get rid of it. Don't
Yeah,
use
we
it.
can go back
Do
to the
not
game
rush with
now.
the shift
Oh
key
my God.
because that's what's getting you killed. That is a second round now that we've seen a shift key ultimately lead to someone's loss. Well, technically CMU still managed to win it because they got the defuse on that round inside of Aviation, but they shift keyed into the room and just lined up and shot each other, and unfortunately wasn't able to be killed in the process, but Oswego does the same thing and gets punished for it. They are failed because they can't succeed, because they can't pull up the gun, because they can't shoot in time, because they can't stop pressing shift.
You know, fun fact, Scott, some pro players actually change their shift bind to something else or their run off of shift. That way they don't do that because it's just such a bad habit that people gain over time. Now, you hear the phrase run and gun? No, Siege is not like that phrase. Run or gun, or run or be gunned, however you want to, think about it. But you can't do both at the same time. You got to pick one, and in those kind of situations, it's best to gun because the Type 89 is probably a much better gun compared to the Division 9, as I like to call it. So that could have been a win for Oswego, but sadly it will not be. And now we're heading to Trophy Room, which is probably the best site that CMU2 can really head towards. They have so much utility to go up against Oswego's aggression. It's going to slow them down to a slug's pace, and now they are just kind of trying to burn through the utility that can in fact be reused because those Syria gates that Aruni has can just be reset, like I just mentioned, so this won't even be a decisive win if they are able to burn through this much utility, and Silverine picking up the entry. This could all be over in a matter of seconds as now King Crimson follows suit. Yep, it's an ocean of orange, Scott. I don't even know what else to say.
Yeah, when Silver Fox is able to follow suit and be able to find even more, it's just, it doesn't necessarily bode well for you. This is a bad time to be in. You're just tossing flash, just trying to relegate it out. You blind yourself in the process. Danky's having to fight in a 1v4. They'll find one onto Silver Fox, making it a little bit closer, and they're still going to have to try and continue the rain. Forced to reload, whipping out the pistol, running forward, trying to step through, just sitting inside Trophy. The Surya gate gets reset, just a nail in the coffin. They'll have to use an air jab to clear it out, but in a bad position as of the current moment, still forced to reload their main hand weapon and peek a shot. Finding one, King Crimson out for the count, but Pepperoni will not be felled, and CMU will win in round 6. They have taken such a massive, substantial position right now, but it is a massively defender-sided game. Oswego now have the chance to just sweep on their defensive half like we saw on Cafe.
It's common to have the defensive side be in the favor lead. 4-2 split is pretty normal, so I wouldn't be that concerned on the side of Oswego, but they got to pick up the pace, that's for sure. If they don't, then CMU2 can really just sweep them under the leg and just knock them right on the floor and end up winning this best of 3. So Oswego's got to be careful, and they got to start playing this almost perfectly. They have a really good lineup for Aviator defense. One thing, though, I don't like that Jaeger pickoff, because there's a thing called passive utility and another thing called active utility, and well, Mai's got one, Jaeger's got the other, and I think in this position, Jaeger's gadget would probably be a little bit better here, but you know what? I'm not one to judge. I am a big fan of that MP5K, and as long as you're able to deny the utility at least a little bit, then it shouldn't be that big of the issue. But I think that's going to be the biggest issue for Oswego at the moment, especially since you have players like Silver Fox who have fragmentation grenades, which could blow up right in your face and give CMU2 a pretty free kill.
Free kill indeed. I mean, at this point in time, I think you're right. Active utility versus passive utility, or however you phrased it, because you're thinking a little bit more clearly than I am of the opinion that if you can just one and done place your utility, then you can be a little bit more important elsewhere. Now, obviously, one of the biggest, passive utilities you gain over time, kind of like the magnets of a Wamai, is going to be the Legion Gumais, and those are out. Banned. Yes, I actually got to mention Legion for once. We didn't think we'd get to, because it's just not a point you make, but Legion being banned means that Blobfish doesn't get the option to do that, but instead we'll opt to go with the Mozzie pick. We'll go with a Roni, which is an even faster firing weapon. I argue an even more dangerous firing weapon. It doesn't have a good scope. It doesn't have... Actually, no, it does have a great scope. The Roni's just insane. No, the Roni's nuts. This is just a better decision. They wasted a targeted ban. Now Blobfish is in an even more dangerous or advantageous position for themselves, as he sits in a good and tight and pretty spot to maybe catch one or two players off guard. But this is Spicy Fish holding over towards this classical staircase, towards the central stair, maybe looking for an option to catch a player as they step inside study. But what do you call this? Shelf? I know some teams call this shelf or bookshelf. Yeah. I mean, this is a very, very strong position to put a shield and just catch these players off guard.
Yeah, because calling all of it 90 it can be pretty confusing, so you might as well...
90's the crook. 90's the crook on the
yeah, exactly. So you call this shelves. Exactly. See, you get it. See, you see that big brain of yours, it does work after all.
Exceeding through my skull.
Yeah, you might need a doctor to check that one out, but that's okay. We'll talk about that later. Minute 30 now on the clock. Some utility being burned out. Spicy Fish now concussed. He'll have the backup of J-Boss, but he walks away at just the wrong time. Now 5-on-4 as Swolverine picks up the opening frag for CMU2. Almost having full control of 90, but they have to get rid of the player all the way in the back, and they haven't been able to do that just yet. Deep angle being held by Swolverine. He gets off it to transition now in towards hunting, and at that exact same instance, Blobfish picks up one on a Pepperoni. So now we're in a 4-on-4 even man situation. A minute left. Anything here could really happen, and right now it's another trade of kills. Blobfish with a 2K, and King Crimson eliminates Danky. The diffuser now off the ground, but Swolverine now picks it up. In this last 50 seconds, still nothing much to discuss except for Blobfish who's on an absolute tear. J-Boss picks up one as well on a Swolverine. Now a 1v2, all up to King Crimson, and he does not have the diffuser in his back pocket. He has to win this based off his mechanical skill, but with the AK-12 at hand, it's a perfect weapon to do just that. He's going to go in the back. Having that Ace Selma deploy on the opposite direction of where he's approaching from, that could be a great sound cue to block himself around, but he has constant intel being gathered upon him. So it doesn't really matter which way he goes. Oswego will be fully aware of it. But eventually, he'll turn himself around to go towards landing this 1v2. Not a lot of time to work with. He gets a 3K, though. There goes Complexity. Almost another through the wall, but he still has to find one on a J-Boss. No clue of his position. He wraps around the corner with his pistol in hand, but the Alda is simply better. Oswego will end up winning the round by a narrow 1v1 clutch in the hands of, I believe, Swolverine. Oh, no, J-Boss. Sorry, Swolverine died to J-Boss. Man, what? Names are hard. Names are hard, Scott.
You know what? Yeah, they are.
They really
Like
are.
my name, very difficult to spell. You would think it's like SCOTT. It's not. It's SCPOGGER CHAMPION OTT. And then the Pogger champion is silent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That makes so
yeah.
much more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. It adds up. Listen, having to spell my name out for teachers in the beginning of class whenever we have a substitute teacher, it's the worst. Just the worst. You know? You go up there's like, do we have a Jeremy? And they're like, oh, it's pronounced John. You know, like,
Bro, that's literally me.
yeah, that's your name, actually.
I am John. I am John. That's actually true. True story.
Yo, I need proof. Sorry. I
Oh,
would make fun of your last name, but I'll give you mine later. It's fine.
Looking forward to it. That's all I gotta say. Looking forward to it. Yeah, no, my last name is don't even try it. I'm gonna just don't even try it. It's all good. But we did see an attempt by Oswego, and it worked out quite well for them. That 1v2 by J-Boss, or not 1v2, but 1v1 by J-Boss. He picked up 2 kills on that round. I'm sorry for stealing your spotlight, J-Boss. I really hope that doesn't hurt your feelings so much. But still, he had a great performance when he needed to really overperform the most. So great job by him. And now they're going into Trophy and Statuary. Like you mentioned earlier, it's a very different site to play up against. So CMU2 better have a couple of different tricks up their back sleeves. Maybe another ace to be had. And ace is on the board as well. So you can expect plenty of hard destruction. But I mean, this just might be a completely different round, to be completely frank with you. Maybe not a 1v1, maybe a 2v1, or however you want to put it.
I think there's going to be a large issue when it comes to narrowing down the distance. Oswego have managed to win that last round off of a miracle play. I genuinely think that was a situation where it could have gone either way, where King Crimson could have just taken that, and when they had managed to just be on the spree that they were on, it could have gone either way. Having to pull out the pistol is kind of like the last-ditch effort, but a Nitro Cell will find one, and immediately following suit, J-Boss finds Silver Fox, and now Oswego have managed to put themselves once again in a lead to start off, but this is the exact same thing that we've seen consistently, where Oswego will take a lead, and CMU are able to climb it back, and then it goes neck and neck once again, where it goes back and forth, trade for trade, action for action, and the question remains of, is it enough? Is this where Blobfish tossed that Nitro?
Believe it was.
Through the metal rafters?
Through? No, because that is the wood around it's a little bit darker. I think that's where he detonated it. If he threw it through that tiny gap, I will be very impressed. But
I've seen that inside of walk-in closet during the CR6 Invitational. It was one of the single greatest kills I've had the pleasure of witnessing. If someone just tossing it through, it was glorious. And it was an IQ, so they had their pistol up and their tracker, and they saw the Nitro Cell the entire way as it came into their face and killed them. It was great.
Oh, that's absolutely rough. But moving on to the last minute of the round, things aren't looking all that good for CMU2. They're down 2 players, and they haven't gotten the main wall opened up inside a master just yet. A logic bomb comes out by Omega Wolf in a last-ditch attempt to try to gather some type of information to guarantee somebody a kill, but right now it won't be the case. So it's going to come down to just whoever can win their ones right when Omega Wolf walks right into sight. He sees the arm of smoke. He'll out-duel Spicy Fish, but J-Boss gets the trade, and plenty of kills come out by both Blobfish and Danky, and Oswego win the 8th round just like that, 4-4, evening things up yet again. A little bit of deja vu from the second map of Villa, where things were down to the wire just like this.
Down to the wire is an exact representation. We're now tied back again, 4-4, and Oswego have managed to take 2 rounds back-to-back. But let's remember the last time we saw that, where Oswego take 2 rounds back-to-back. What happened? CMU found 4 back-to-back. So are we going to see that again? Because if that happens, they're not even going to need to get 4 back-to-back to win. They're not going to need to find all 4. They just need to find 3 to take it at this point in time. Oswego have to continue the success, and they're forced now to take dining room and kitchen. If they take dining room and kitchen and they do find this successfully as they 6-pick off of the Malusi over to Pulse, which is not a bad decision at all, they're also going to need to make the switch over and figure out what they can do to change up Aviation and Games Room, because that was a close call. Coming down to the clutch situation, coming down to the 1v1, it may have just been King Crimson being an outlier, but you still have to be prepared for any and all outliers. You don't want any outlier. Make them an inlier, like a belly button.
Yeah, innie or outie. You know, it's 50-50, which was basically how that round on Aviator turned out, because either one of those players could have won that. Now, due to the fact that Ace was on such low HP on that first round, and there was an all that he had to go up against of J-Boss, I mean, I kind of figured he'd win that, but it was close. He almost won that. If he found a headshot with that pistol instead, then obviously he would have won that, because headshots kill you no matter what gun you have in hand. So when we go back to that site, I think that'll really display who's actually going to win this last decider map. But we got to get through dining and kitchen first. And the lineup that's being brought on the board by Oswego is pretty strong. Plenty of anti-breach, that bandit and mute combination. Now mute can also use his gadgets for drone denial, which can be great, especially since there's a Yana on the board and her Gemini holograms are denied by the mute jammers as well. So this is great counter play by Oswego without even intentionally doing so. And they also have plenty of operators as well to gather intel, like that Valkyrie Impulse, not just to instead deny it.
You have to be able to deny intel in any and all angles. Whether you're attacking or you're defending, information is everything. I mean, one of the biggest things right now in this matchup right here, where CMU are trying to, dethrone out Oswego's spree, is going to be kind of removing any and all of those pulses, any of the information they can gather, like the Valkyrie cams, denial of their own denial of that mute jammer, which they will kill the mute player, but those jammers have been actively placed and they're done. Pepperoni's able to find the kill as J-Boss was able to find their own. Now Pepperoni downed and finished off by Danky, and it's a 4v3. Once again, we're not seeing a side that actually wants to go up to the second floor. They're wary. They're scared. They don't want to step inside, and they know exactly why they don't want to. And now you got these two players that are sitting pretty, trying to stay outside of this, supply closet room, this bicycle storage, as some people do call it, which I think is a weird. I just think people just call it bicycle. And it's going to be difficult for them to be able to find a player, but Complexity, that pulse, the information gatherer for the defense, out as King Crimson. Wow, I'm just loving that name constantly. Is able to find the kill, but Blobfish finds their own with the MPX, finding Silver Fox and brings it back to a 3v2, and Danky finds a second for a 3v1, and it's just King Crimson. They have 6 kills, and they'll need to make it 9, tying Blobfish's score, and they're lunting, they're looking. The hunt is on, and the King is trying to keep his crown. Will an insurrection be in play? A player lying down. J-Boss finds the kill, and Oswego win round 9.
That was a very deserved win by Oswego. They just stopped CMU2 dead in their tracks and didn't really waste any time winning that one. That was quite impressive, especially in that 1v3. They didn't give up a single player for King Crimson to get a freebie on. So great work, not wanting him to get another round win up against them. So gotta give credit where credit is due. Now though, we're heading to Aviator in Games, or Planes in Games if you want to be funny about it. And this is what you and I both were interested about. The question being, can CMU2 win on this bomb site? Because it did come down to a 1v1. It was very close. A singular gunfight completely changed the outcome of that round in particular. So whoever wins this probably will set themselves up in a pretty nice spot. Now, Oswego can bring us to match point here, or we're going to go 5-5, like what happened on Oregon. So that also answers our question way back before we even started this matchup on Villa of if this is going to be more like Cafe or be more like Oregon. And I think even if Oswego wins this next round here, I think we've already had our answer decided. It's been much more like Oregon because CMU2 has had a pretty decent chance up against Oswego on this map, especially compared to Cafe, because that one was basically just a blowout on the side of Oswego.
Hey, you need anything but a blowout, right? Like, fellow, I know that you are bad at Siege.
Incredibly. I'm
yeah,
horrible.
And we're the same rank, Wood 3. So, like, we get blown out all the time. And I'm old. I'm getting older, right? You know, like, my back gets blown out, right? I stand up from my chair and I have to crawl my way over to my couch to pretend that it hurts so that I have an excuse to lay down another hour. But getting blown out stinks. No matter what it is, it's not fun. You don't like the feeling of being devastated like that. It's not a fun value. It's not entertaining. And I think the biggest problem is that it's mentally draining. You take one or two of those rounds back to back, a flawless victory against you, you will be punished accordingly. And your mentality, you're going to be down bad. You're going to be so devastated mentally that it's hard to recover from that. And I know that personally. Like, losing matches and getting triggered, getting mad, rage quitting, right? Like, I'm a pretty bad person about that. Why do you think I stopped playing Overwatch competitively? It's because I stunk at the game. Like, you can't let yourself get triggered enough to tilt, and that's a big part of playing competitively in R6. There's so much time for you to get tilted. Small mistakes will add up to that big one, and you're gonna get angry.
You've got to be mentally strong and capable of remaining relaxed in certain positions, like we've seen these 1vx's that have been miraculously turned around, favoring the opposing team that should have most certainly lost this. But CMU2, they want to desperately win this 10th round because they're assuming the exact same thing that we are, is that whoever wins this round basically takes the entire best of 3 altogether. Now 5-on-3 as King Crimson from outside removes Danky from 90 corner. Now 5-on-3, and things are looking fantastic for CMU2. They just have to get one of the 2 main walls opened up. I can hear hunting being destructed open in the background by those Selmas, so only a matter of time before King Crimson works his way around, but that's not going to be the case because J-Boss just swoops on in and gets rid of him from the picture. Now 4-on-2 as Wolverine picks up 1 on a Spicy Fish, and J-Boss now getting injured in this position. It's all but hopeless, and that's exactly the case because CMU2 will win this round with flying colors. 5-5 will be the current round count, and we will not see match point just yet.
This is going once again neck and neck. CMU have to do everything, literally, to bring themselves back. This next round, once again, will guarantee match point. If CMU take this, we may see a complete replication of what we saw in just last map, where CMU take it, make the comeback up to that point of this neck and neck battle, take round 6, and then Oswego have to tie it back out. This is not where Oswego wants to be. This is not where CMU wants to be, but neither has a choice. Neither can stop the other one in a large enough fashion to guarantee themselves a position to just say, this is it. It's over. We're done. We're winning the next 2, and it's going to be the end of the story. No. This is one of the most even matches I've seen in such a long time, and it is a miracle after we got to watch such a blowout in the second half of map 1. CMU, they are refusing to go down and back off without a fight.
They are doubling down on the Aviator bomb site, and although I like how Oswego plays for the most part, this is their worst site. We can't argue with that. They basically gave CMU2 0 chances on dining along with Trophy, but this is the only site that A, CMU2 has come close to winning, and B, a site that they've actually won altogether. So this is a big mistake for Oswego for sure. Now, if they win this, then that's great, but at least try to seal the deal on one of the other bomb sites, and then you can go to the second one and basically guarantee yourself that win, because this bomb site is, like I said, your worst one. Why would you want to go here when you don't have to?
Yeah, it's a ticket. I think they would call it the ticket to the danger zone.
Yeah.
I just wanted a reaction for that. I got none of it. I absolutely got none of it. That hurts my feelings. That was such a good reaction.
It was really funny, but there was something you mentioned earlier that I found a little bit more funny. So all my funny has been drained. And
oh, your funny has been drained?
You know what I'm talking about. It'll come back in a minute.
Bewildered, befuddlement, and befinned? Was it that one? Huh? Like, I mean, we'll figure it out. But with 2 minutes on the clock and everyone's still alive, it's going to be a little bit difficult. Well, actually, never mind. Blobfish finding the first kill, setting themselves up now, but Spicy, who's got a bit of an apex position, not actually holding bookshelves where they initially held, but actually holding the doorway leading into this game's room. which makes kind of Omega Wolf in this side of CMU think there's a safety net for half a second, maybe not a player behind. Ooh, both taking a lick of damage, and Omega Wolf finding the shots, connecting to the head of Spicy Fish, and now Oswego, they do not want to be in this situation where it's tied back in a 4 versus 4. Shots have to connect if you're on their side. One player exceedingly close, could be caught off guard if Omega Wolf just takes the peek inward, but Danky takes a lick of damage as well. A logic bomb comes through, but a bomb dropped on the Blobfish. A Silver Fox will find and connect. And now a 3v3 complexity into a Mega Wolf, guaranteeing the kill. They have to push on to this objective, but they just don't have the safe space to do it.
Things are so incredibly close right now. CMU2 could win this, but you can say the exact same thing for Oswego. They haven't given up much up until now. Swolverine, a very important fight that he ends up winning against Danky. Now they have the man advantage for a 3rd time in a row, and Swolverine almost makes it that 3-on-1, but Silver Fox ends up doing it instead. Now a 1v2, all up to J-Boss. He doesn't have Carrier by his side, and he loses the fight against King Crimson. CMU2 win the most important round of this 3rd map, and now they bring us to match point up against Oswego. Will we see the upset, or will somehow, some way, Oswego brings us to overtime?
This could be the all or nothing round. We talked about it. It came down to the penultimate round in the overtime on Oregon. Everything could be finished right here, but Oswego did not go down without a fight for the last map, and they're not going to go down without a fight in this one. They have to find success, or CMU will find it first, and it's bye-bye Oswego. It's not going to be hot. Away they go. This is the exact opposite kind of situation any team would want to be in, especially after such a phenomenal victory on first map. CMU, honestly, we both are shocked here. You talked about it earlier. We're shocked that CMU has made this 3rd map competitive. And not just competitive, but taken the bull by its horns and absolutely showed it the way. This is amazing by CMU. Full props to them. Even if they don't win this and Oswego pulls the comeback, CMU, you deserve every single bit of respect you've gotten in this match.
And to really bring this point back home, Oswego was the 2nd seat in the regular season of NECC for Rainbow6, and CMU2 was the 6th. They were the bottom of the barrel, and they have clawed their way all the way up to the semifinals in the Challengers Division up against one of the best teams that they can go up against, and they are putting up a damn hard fight right now against them. It is... It's amazing. It's just beautiful in every aspect of it. It's true art at its finest right now, and if they win this, I would love to see them take everything completely off of its feet and win the entire grand final, which we'll probably be casting. So that would honestly be up there on my bucket list, to be honest. This would be a great revenge tour for CMU2, and they are only 1 round away from making that happen. They just have to play this last one pretty well. They had a very difficult time winning up against this bomb side of Trophy Room. They didn't do a good job with that hard destruction, and when the hard destruction eventually happened, it was used up against them pretty well on the side of Oswego, and then they just kind of funneled in and they all died. It just wasn't a great round, to say the least.
Yeah, and I think that, like you talked about nailing the point home, and I want to touch on this. We probably won't be casting this final. I think we're casting the Champions Division final. I think we're casting the top division final.
We can do both.
So unfortunately, we'll watch, of course. We'll stay tuned.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be a phenomenal fight. Kind of like the first one to be engaged. You're going to see Spicy Fish with that 9mm C1. C2, C1. Well, they're going to have to see themselves out, at the very least. Wolverine seeing themselves out of this round. Great segue, Scott. That was great. Oh, my goodness. And really now you've got yourself in a 5v4 in Oswego. They have put themselves in a fighting chance. With giving themselves an early kill, they have a chance to fight off CMU. You've got 3 players situated inside Master Bathroom, maybe looking to punish this player situated behind a shield inside of Astronomy, but it will be tagged out, and they're still holding that position. They have not dodged, they have not moved, but Silver Fox's HP has moved, now extremely low. Drone being shot out by Complexity, now looking maybe for another chance to punish, has the pancakes, tossing it back out again, and more utility being burned by the offense. It's going to get eaten once again. Everything has been taken away from the CMU side, but Complexity stands, and Omega finds the kill. But Spicy Fish will not be outdone, finding yet another into Pepperoni, but Silver Fox continues finding J Boss. Shot now as they step out bathroom. Danky connects, refragged back by King Crimson. A 2v2 as Silver Fox makes their way back to master bedroom. Bathroom, I mean, trying to get the diffuser picks back up, but a player inside of the astronomy stairs will make it difficult to step forward. Spicy Fish finding themselves a 3K. They might find the 4K to guarantee Oswego make it into the overtime.
All up to Silver Fox now. This is make or break. If they win this, then there is no more chance for Oswego. They're backed up into a wall, but they are fighting tooth and nail currently up against Silver Fox in this 2-on-1. Almost unwinnable. Time and health is not on his side, but he might have a slight chance as long as he picks up a single kill and then brings that into a 1-versus-1. He'll do just that, but the wide swing by Blobfish will deny him the clutch. Oswego, they'll bring us into overtime, and now we're back to any team winning this one out.
Back in fourth action here, folks. It's all down to the wire. We're heading into overtime. 2 back-to-back maps here. Oswego and CMU, their secondary squad, putting a fight up like they're the first squad. Their first team in that division above, Champions Division, if I remember correctly here, they got felled just prior, and now they're trying to avoid that same exact fate here in the semifinals. Honestly, full props. Full props to Central Methodist for having such a phenomenal showmanship so far, not just for this team, but the one prior, for a team that so many of us casters, so many of us people viewing just said it's going to be a blowout. CMU may have this insane fragging style and super aggressive nature, but Boise? Buffalo, I'm sorry, they're too good. They push every angle. They have way more strategy. But now in this game here, thought the same thing. Oswego, second seeded. They've got better gun styles. They've got better strats. They've got better positioning. But CMU says it does not matter. We will replicate it, and we will find our same level of success. And they've done just that. Now tied at the 6-6, heading into overtime. And everything is coming down to the next 2 to 3 rounds.
And this could be over in a matter of moments. I mean, it already is. We can only see at the most 3 more rounds at the moment, and Oswego will waste no time. They're going to go back to trophy and statuary, and I don't blame them a single bit, because they have won this site time and time again on their defensive holds. It has seemed almost impossible for CMU2 to win it out. Even in that one-on-one, Oswego was prepared for one of their 2 players to die, and Blobfish traded it out almost instantaneously, so it didn't matter that the kill in fact happened, because a trade was followed up almost immediately afterwards. So this is looking a little bit grim for CMU2, but I like that they've changed their lineup just a little bit. Not by a lot, but a little bit. So they could possibly burn through those Wamai disc and Jaeger ADSs a little bit faster with all the stun grenades that they brought on the board. But oh no, a massive frag comes out by Blobfish. There goes Pepperoni down for the count, and so much utility that could have been used to either watch the flank, help with the plant, or just burn through ADSs or magnets is now just down the drain, the toilet being flushed, and now it's off the board entirely for CMU.
Oh my goodness. The fact that CMU is bringing 2 roam denials just shows how much they fear Oswego right now. They fear the Reaper. And like the song says, don't fear the Reaper, but they can't help but to. Oswego has made a phenomenal fight for this. They have shown so much, and now they're going to continue to try and rear themselves a round success and hopefully the eventual overtime success. Barbed wire being busted outside master bedroom, connecting to statuary room. A possible position, Spicy Fish basically right on top. A logic bomb has been dropped on a player flank from Silver Fox from landing. Will connect to Spicy, and a great team chemistry and play from CMU, but caught off guard. Silver somehow miraculously surviving, but it's not gonna matter when Danky finds Swolverine, and now just 3 players remaining for CMU. Silver Fox has been damaged to no end. J Boss is looking to continue. It finds it, takes no damage in the process, and now it's a 4v2, 1 by 90 stepping forward, and Omega Wolf is the only other one standing now inside Master Bathroom. room, and they're the last one standing at all. Denki finding it, and now it's a 4v1. Omega Wolf looking to replicate the same kill and complexity they just had in the last previous round. Don't you know? And the definition of insanity. Repeat the same thing more than once and expect a different result. Tossing once again the utility to remove out the magnets. Getting one flash over the top, eaten by an ADS. They'll attempt to step through. Complexity finds it this time around, and it's gonna go as Oswego win round 13.
Oh my goodness, Oswego giving no chance whatsoever for CMU2. They bring us into match point in overtime, 7-6. Could we see them bring it back after a long and hard victory? I mean, it's possible. They have to win this one out, though. And again, the same exact thing will happen to them. They're going up against Trophy and Statuary, one of the most difficult sites statistically in this matchup on Villa for both teams when attacking it. And the lineup by CMU2 currently is so worrisome. The Castle, the Aruni, Jaeger and Lamai, along with a Mute on top of all of that. It is just so much that Oswego has to go up against. They have a lot of utility to counteract it, but it's still going to waste through so much of their time. And from what we've seen, Scott, when it comes down to those last couple of moments in the round, Oswego has just been collapsing up against CMU's assertive defensive holds on any site, especially Trophy and Statuary.
Fellow, John, let's get a little bit personal here.
Okay.
With J-Boss dropping 15 frags and Blawfish with 12. Now, we know Blawfish dropped 15 frags last map.
10 seconds left.
And they targeted banned Blawfish. Do you think if Blawfish had their go-to choice of Legion, this would have gone differently?
Attacker's objective is to
No,
locate a
I'm actually glad that Legion's not on the board because he's brought much more helpful operators for the most part. The Mozzie, a couple other notable mentions as well that I can't think of off the top of my head, but they were a lot more needed than Elysian. So I think it was a blessing in disguise, and it's allowed for a little bit more variety on both sides. So I'm kind of glad it happened. But hey, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe we would have had J-Boss drop a 20 bomb and just clean sweep against CMU2. But like I said, my congruent answer is that yes, I'm glad I saw it happen, and I don't think it really wouldn't have changed much.
Well, with everything basically on the line here, Oswego have the option to end it all right here. And they've meleeed out a couple of the walls, the one inside Master Bathroom. Just, I believe they've said it to be one away from being completed, but CMU is still bringing out the Surya Gate. They're still bringing out the combination of having the castle barricades inside Master Bedroom, making it difficult for the opposing side to step inward, and also making it easier for them to gather information and to act on their kills. But honestly, CMU have put themselves in a position at the same time where they don't have very good crossfire angles. They have tons of information. You see this bulletproof cam that Denki just refusing to cross over to melee out and even misses doing so in the process. But with so much emphasis on this west side and no real first roam flank to maybe find an entry kill, CMU could be caught off guard if Oswego just manages to find an early frag.
It will come down to that first frag, most definitely, especially when we get down to that last minute, which is going to heavily favor CMU2 just so long as they're able to keep these angles in their own hands and not have to worry about players that are underneath, for example, like J-Boss on the Zofia. So he's trying to flush out the Wamai player Pepperoni at least a little bit, and it eventually works out. A great opening pick for Oswego, and that could really turn the tides in their favor, but Omega Wolf will pick up one for himself on the Danky. He's not able to confirm that kill, but as long as Danky remains down but not out, he is essentially just a useless body. He's dead weight, so we're technically in a 4-on-4, but he's got to worry about so many pushes coming out from the northern side of the map. One in particular is J-Boss on the top of that Astra stairwell, and now that the player of Danky has been revived, we're back in a 5-on-4 favoring Oswego, but another wide swing comes out. Omega Wolf almost picks up one. He'll light up Spicy Fish to high hell, but he's not able to finish off the kill. kill. J-Balls with a 3K. That could seal the deal right then and there, but eventually his reign of terror will come to an end. Now a 1 versus 3, all up to Silver Fox. He picks up 1 kill, make it a second. Now a 3K for Silver Fox. Can he get the 3K? No! Oh my goodness! What are you doing, Silver Fox? No! That's not how you were supposed to end this off. He runs right into the unloving arms of Blobfish. We talked about it earlier, Scott. The Shift W, it's the one thing you have to worry about most, and that will be his demise in the end. Oswego narrowly taking that victory, but at what cost by CMU2?
Do I need to do it again? Do I need to do it again? Do I need to take the shift key off my keyboard and show it? Oswego,
Oh my God,
this one
he
was
was-
yours.
Oh no, I need to talk about it. I'm sorry. I had that whole round, but like I need to talk about it. He just had to wait. The Syria gate was there. He just had to wait and played it smart, but his adrenaline was pumping. He wanted that 4K clutch to bring us into overtime, and it was the wrong play. It was the wrong play, man. And it's so disheartening. I'm on the edge of tears right now. I wanted CMU to win this, man, and they threw it all away on the round that mattered most. I can't believe it. If there's
Well-
anything that CMU2 has to bring from this, it's just oh my God, just don't shift and run. It's not run and gun, it's run or be gunned.
Run or be gunned. That's a great phrase. So, Oswego, you got a shift key taken off from me. And now, CMU, you've got another. This is what happens. Now, Oswego's did lose them 1 round, but ultimately, which one had more impact? CMU, sprinting, getting a little bit too hot-headed, tunnel-visioned, unable to secure yourself a safety net, and in your fear, you sprinted right into the arms of your demise. So, Oswego will take the victory. They're going on to the finals here in the Challengers Division. And we're going to see whether or not they can come out on top against their competitor. I don't believe we actually have Butler. Butler won 2-0 against who? Well, we'll get that information. So Butler does win 2-0 to their opposer. We'll have that named in just a moment. Concordia, Wisconsin. Oh, so unfortunately, Concordia, Wisconsin will be felled as well shortly afterwards. So a 2-0 victory. We're going to see that final match come through. It's anyone's game. Oswego did struggle against CMU, but I genuinely think I saw a new CMU today. I saw a whole new team in a whole new light, all ended off by a shift key at the end of the fight. So, we're going to be heading to a short break. I believe we'll have an interview, or at least I want to have an interview with one of the players for the side of Oswego. I want to see and hear what they have to say after such a hard-fought victory. But we'll be right back after a short break, a short interview, and then we'll see you guys off for the next fights. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Catch you guys soon.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head.
Welcome back, everybody, to the NECC. And after a spectacular 3-map travesty, I think is what Fellow wants to call it here, because he was really rooting for CMU for the underdog. I mean, a lot of people root for the underdog, but nonetheless, we're going to see Oswego take the W, make their way out of the semifinals. They made it out of the quarterfinals. Now the semis, and they're going all the way to the finals. They're going to have a tough match ahead of them. But my name's Infernosis, joined here by Fellow, and I actually believe we are also joined here in the booth by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Blobfish. Blobfish, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. It's great to be on here.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Now, just what are your feelings right now after winning a semifinal against a team that nobody expected would put up such a fight against you?
Well, they definitely put up a lot more of a fight than the last time we played them. I was kind of surprised. You know, it was a bit of a rocky start, especially for our team. But towards the middle, it was just a really good match, you know? It felt really close.
Well, you guys did beat them in a 2-0 fashion, 10-14 in total round differential, but this one, you guys kind of clapped on Cafe. Your defense was flawless by all accounts, literally. And when it comes to Oregon and when it came to Villa, you guys just went back and forth, neck and neck. You took 2 rounds back-to-back here in Villa and then lost 4. And then managed to take yourself in a few more, and it's just constant back-and-forth action. You clawed your way back in a 3-round return to get match point and then win 2 back-to-back overtimes. What's going through your head right at the moment of which you win? What is the feeling of joy that you have?
It's a really big deal for us. This is like really the first season we've gone anywhere. So like each match just feels huge to us. Like the whole weight of the season's on our shoulders, you know?
Absolutely. Fellow, do you have any you want to bring up?
I do, yeah. So with the fact that CMU, won map number 2, brought us to Villa. Of course, you guys ended up winning that overall. But were you guys anticipating going to Villa, or did you think that you would see a similar storyline towards the cafe, where you guys did pretty well overall, 7-3, pretty much a burn or a blowout, sorry, and then you go to a completely different map, and it's also a completely different story.
So we weren't really sure how Oregon was gonna go. I believe they tended to be pretty strong on Oregon.
Hmm.
So we were ready to go to Villa, but we were kind of hoping it wouldn't come to it.
Fair enough. All right. Another question, I guess, that I wanted to pull out. So when things turned 5-4 on Villa, you guys finally brought it back after winning flawlessly on the 3 defensive rounds. It was Aviator, then Trophy, then Dining. You guys went back to Aviator, you lost it, and then you went back there again. Now, um, why? That's all I want to know, because that was the closest map, or part of not map, but site you guys went to. And to be honest, that one could have been a loss the first time you went there, but it was narrowly a win because J Boss won his gunfight up against the last player of Ace. What was like the thought process of that as well?
Well, it was partly we didn't think that they'd expect us to go back to that site after not doing so hot on it,
Okay.
and also because we thought we could run it back. Um, we figured out we had a couple mistakes that we thought we could fix the next time around.
That's fair, because to be blunt with you, I would have just went for the safe pickup trophy, and then you guys ended up doing that when we ended up going to overtime, and it was probably a great decision because neither one of you had the best of times attacking on that bomb site. It was probably statistically the best bomb site to defend on this matchup on Villa. So I'm glad you guys did that at the end, but me and Infernosis both were oddly concerned, to say the least. But in the end, it paid off. So again, congrats.
Thank you.
Now, I wanted to bring up a point that was kind of what ended everything. Now, fellow, you probably have the note for this. Who was it individually that was the shift connoisseur of the Oswego side?
Oh my god. Well, I didn't specifically write down who it was. I was just too caught in the moment there. It was went from a 1v3 to a 1v1, and he had a Syria gate blocking off the doorway where Zofia was positioned outside of. He could have just sat there, reloaded his 416, which is probably one of the best defensive guns in the game, and just played time because you didn't have carrier either, whoever that Zofia was. And that should have been a win for CMU2. But he runs through the Aruni gate into Zofia's arms and dies. I mean, it was literally just, I don't know, just down horrendous for Jaeger. And that should not have happened. I'm going to be honest. I am just,
Yeah.
man. Did you guys expect to win that round? Like, is that just like a miracle to
Well,
happen? A stroke of
it
luck?
there was definitely a stroke of luck where it turned from a 3v1 to a 1v1 with in their favor, but ended up giving he kind of gave away the round. But I knew where he was too at the end, so I was kind of hoping that if it came down to it, I would just challenge him 1-to-1, you know, even gunfight.
Yeah.
I probably would have been at a disadvantage going through the gate, but it was the best choice that I had there. So I
So,
definitely, we definitely profited off that a lot.
I guess what one of the big things to keep in mind is what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
Since you guys had a shift play that ultimately ended in your loss, and theirs is a little bit more impactful, I guess. Theirs ultimately does cost them the game in terms of. Honestly, that round was yours in favor no matter what. Just taking into that 3v1 at a point in time, it was a miracle to bring it back to that point. It was a miracle to try and go for it. Full props to the player, despite them running into you at the last minute, right? Despite all of that, it doesn't necessarily matter because they still had a phenomenal game. They still played spectacular, and they managed to bring it so close against a team like you guys who were so expected to win it out. Silver Fox, despite making that mistake, had a phenomenal game. I mean,
He
what?
really did.
13 kills at the end there? 13 kills to go through. That was exactly how many you had. Tied with you. Now, J-Boss had 18.
He really popped off that last game.
J-Boss was a monster. And despite J-Boss popping off with 18 kills, CMU's squad was more consistent. 13
Yeah.
kills, 9 kills, 11 kills, 7 kills, 11 kills. They're more evenly consistent than your squad was. Your squad had your 2 heavy hitters, maybe 3. You maybe consider Denki with that with 10 kills, but with J-Boss with 18 and you with 13, you guys had standout players, and CMU was just all around the board. When you faced off against them in Cafe, and you guys had to face them, and they played, and this is the biggest question, and they played the worst objective in human history, and of all time, worse than Barnstock on Clubhouse. What's going through your head?
Well, we were a little confused at the start. We weren't really sure why they picked it, but we figured, we might as well take advantage. And we kind of just went for it,
Do you guys practice that objective?
Not a whole lot. We don't really expect anyone to pick it. It's kind of a wild card.
I think that's why they tried it.
Yeah.
It did not work.
Yeah.
It's not
Gotta
it.
commend them though for the thought,
Yeah.
trying to throw you off. It's always a kind of a daring move.
Bold.
hate
Maybe they just
Cafe.
didn't know much about Cafe. Yeah, no, I mean, we both hate Cafe. Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
it's
And seeing that
unfun.
objective just hurts.
Yeah,
I have a
just
little
not
bit of a
fun.
bias against CMU at that point in time, but they completely removed that with their performance in map 2. Like, I mean, they completely swept that. It was a phenomenal match to behold. So I'll give you a moment to talk about anyone that's been behind you, people you want to shout out, and then we'll see you out and we'll end things off here.
All right, I want to do a shout out to Danky, given the calls. Most people don't really see that, but he had some pretty good calls today. He was a really solid for that.
Okay. Anyone else?
He's definitely the standout for that. But Complexity did a good job too. Definitely.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, Blawfish. Once again, congratulations on your victory, and you're one step closer to taking that first place in your division. So I will be staying tuned. I unfortunately do not believe I will be casting that one. I believe I'm casting the upper division instead with my main man fellow here. But you will be in good hands. Your team will be in good hands, and we are super excited to see what you guys have in store for us. No matter what, you've made it this far, and I'm sure you're going to great places. So thank you very much for joining us. Hope you have a good
Thank you
night.
for having me.
So this has been us at the NECC. My name is Infernosis, joined, of course, here by Fellow. And despite Fellow being a little down bad at the end, because he was just on a tangent, so upset with the play, and it's heartbreaking to have, but ultimately, Oswego comes out on top. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. This has been the NECC for R6, and stay tuned for Valorant, Overwatch, Rocket League, Hearthstone, and everything in between. And of course, the R6 finals coming up real soon. We'll catch you guys in the next one.